죽음의 조 D조의 대결이
리버가 진짜입니다.
와 이게 전투력이죠. 와 리버 왔어요.
리버
두 번째 시제 죽음의 조에서 1위로 8강 진출.
몰라요. 김성대도 지금 28분 레이지가 그의
특별히 연승리 남영 센스 8강 올라갑니다.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to Day 3 here in the Round of 8 of the ASL Season 19. It's a PvP, and I think maybe the greatest PvP we've ever had here in ASL. This is a rematch from a finals long ago. Maybe it was like Season 11 or something like that, somewhere around there. But these are the two greatest PvP players in the world, so this is going to be so sick.
No question about that. And yeah, this is like really going to be hype. I haven't been this excited for a mirror matchup in actually quite some time. Even the TVTs, I wasn't quite as hyped as this because like SnOw is pretty much like everyone kind of agrees he's the strongest Protoss player, but Rain is actually like the most talented Protoss player, and I actually think he's going to end up taking it. Like a lot of people have been saying SnOw, he dominates everyone online and stuff. And obviously he does well. He was top 4 last season and everything, but Rain is just a different beast altogether.
Yeah, the left side of the bracket, top side of the bracket, I guess we could say in this graphic, is going to have a PvT with Best versus Light. Super excited about that. We're going to have SnOw versus Rain tonight, and tomorrow we'll be doing Sulky versus Rush. Sulky, the favorite to win this ASL. He has won the last 3 in a row, and if he can keep winning them, we're going to have to start to get a new understanding of where he's at. He's basically either there or about to be there as far as the best player in the world. We're going to have a quick interview coming up here with SnOw and Rain, and then we're going to hop right into this best of 7. So don't go away.
Yeah, and I have to apologize for Tastosis. He forgot about how well Best played last week. Best is the favorite to win this ASL, not Sulky.
Hello on this Children's Day and welcome to the third match of the Round of 8 of ASL Season 19, done in partnership with Hot 6. Stronger, better, clean energy. Through the 2 quarterfinals matches that took place last week, Best and Light advanced through and will be meeting in the semi-finals, as the other half of the bracket will be decided this week through the 2 remaining Round of 8 matches. Today, a PvP awaits you. Let's meet SnOw and Rain. Hi. Welcome.
안녕하세요.
Just seeing this match in the bracket is enough to make one's heart flutter, as surely, once again, many people will be eagerly waiting for today's game. This is a match many viewers will be excited for. However, for the players, seeing they would have to play a best of 7 mirror would surely cause conflicting emotions. In addition to that, SnOw, you did say you would like to avoid PvP. How did you feel whenever Rain was decided to be your opponent? There were 2 Protoss and 1 Terran, so it is what it is, I thought. I'm not a big fan of PvP, but actually playing it, I remember there were a lot of times I would win, so I tried to be optimistic about this. SnOw saying there were a lot of times he would end up winning must surely make Rain a little nervous. Now, statistically speaking, you, Rain, had the highest chance of meeting a Zerg. Against all odds, it's SnOw instead. How did you feel about this? All of the guys I could have played are extremely good players. I thought it would make no difference. I took it quite calmly. They are all good players, however you look at it, and I need to beat them all if I want to get the championship anyway. There's a lot of storylines shaping up between the two of you. For starters, this is a meeting between this season's 3rd and 4th seeded players, and so one of you will get to secure a seed in back-to-back seasons. And the win rates you both have in PvP in the ASL are ever so similar too. And although it has been a while, the two of you have met in the grand finals before, in Season 5. This is a match with a number of things the viewers will be bearing in mind today. What sort of perspective are you looking at this match from? I think winning the initial sets will be very important. In any case, it is a mirror match, so building momentum is a good approach. Splitting the match into 2 halves, SnOw says gaining momentum in the first half will be of import. What sort of a match do you expect will unfold? Rain? Let's start with the fact that the PvP meta has changed from what it used to be in the past. Nowadays, micro and being reactive are very important. My eyesight is poor and I can't see the minimap well. It's like, will I be able to block his harassment or not? Will I be able to react quickly or not? That's what the fight will be about. Oh no, you have problems with your vision? Have you at least brought some eye drops? I haven't. Hopefully one of your colleagues flies in with some. So with these 7 sets today, what scenario are you looking to paint, score-wise? SnOw? Honestly, Rain plays really well, so I don't think I'll be able to win easily. But if I do, then it'll probably be 4-2 or 4-3, I think. 4-2 or 4-3. SnOw is expecting a neck-and-neck full-set series, it would seem. Rain, for the sake of your eyes, I'm sure you want to end this quickly. What is your score prediction? I don't think it will go to the rubber match. It will be 4-1 or 4-2, whoever wins. And which set will be most important? I think the first and second games are most important in any case. If you don't gain enough momentum in the first 2 sets, you can lose very easily. The first or second set will be most important. Death Valley and Eclipse. Rain is mentioning the importance of sets 1 and 2. Today's match clearly seems to be one where both SnOw and Rain alike consider gaining momentum in the first half ever so important. Let's hear our players' resolutions to close things out. SnOw? I consider this a good opportunity, so I'll make sure to win. Can't wait. And Rain, a word please. For starters, I hope we can play a fun match today. I will make sure to advance. Looking forward to a cool round of 8 match from the both of you. Thanks for the interview. You're waiting for this PvP that is the 3rd round of 8 match of ASL Season 19, done in partnership with Hot6. As we wonder who will become our 3rd player to join the semi-finals this season, let's kick things off and find out.
All right, guys, we're going to be hopping into this, and for map 1, it's going to be Death Valley. That's going to be so fun for this PvP.
Yeah, that's going to be a special map. I could see some absolute insanity going on there. Death Valley it's actually really grown on me, surprisingly. Such a difficult to play map, the crazy map of this season, but not quite as crazy as some of the crazy maps we've had in ASL's past.
Yeah, from there we're going to go to Eclipse, Metro, Deja Vu, Polestar, Dominator, and Radeon if we get to a map 7. So we're going to go from crazy maps to pretty standard ladder maps here for, the meat, the center part of this best of 7 here.
Yeah, now, looking at this match, Tasteless, I want to know what your thoughts are on how it's going to go down between these two. Because, I feel like most fans are saying, okay, SnOw's going to clean the floor with Rain. I am on the exact other side of it. What do you think as a Protoss player?
Well, there's a couple thoughts I've got. Okay, so first of all, PvP, it goes in these phases, and I think now it's very true that it is in one of these phases where it's heavy Reaver tech, and people kind of stay in that tech forever.
Yeah.
So I think that if it comes to Reaver versus Reaver, I think SnOw has an edge over anybody who's ever played the game,
for sure,
including Rain.
For sure.
Okay, I think if we're in one of these mid-game drawn-out PvP, shuttle speed, maybe 1 to 2 bases, dogfights that kind of go on and on and on, and they're trying to trade, I think that SnOw can win in that. When SnOw played in KSL and won, he had a lot of build order wins, and I do think that Rain's advantage is basically that he seems to make better decisions early on. He maybe has more build order wins in PvP than anybody I've ever seen. Whether it's like a blind Reaver push, it's DTs. He goes DTs a lot, by the way, more than anybody else, PvP and ASL. He's fine with his 3-gate play. He's fine doing, he was one of the first players I saw where I started copying this build where he just kind of went blind, Nexus after a Dragoon or two. Maybe even getting a Robo after instead of before. It's more typical to get it before, but he seems to never play the Stork style of like a Robo and then a second gate. It kind of doesn't matter what's going on, but he's going to play conservative and safe. He seems to know how to get ahead. So to answer your question fully, I think if we get into mid-game, when a lot of Reavers, and it's all about good pickups and good trades, I think SnOw wins. I think Rain might have an edge in the build order openings,
okay,
and that's where he's going to take it if he does win this. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that does make sense. It's a pretty good take. It's a little bit safe. I'm gonna go out on a limb here, Tasteless. I'm gonna say that SnOw has one game where he looks amazing. We're like, whoa, how could you ever doubt him? And then Rain, no matter what happens, is going to slam him because he's just smart. That's my take, Tasteless. I think that Rain's going to take this down. And just like that score says there, 4-1. The thing I really want to mention about Rain, so the reason why we talk so much about Flash, Jaedong, Stork, and Bisu is because they were the best of the world when StarCraft 2 came out and kind of changed the landscape. If StarCraft 2 had gone on, we don't know exactly what would have happened, but Rain and Sulky were actually in line to rise up and take the place of, Bisu and Jaedong specifically. Okay, and they actually did that in StarCraft 2. Like, Rain, I'm not joking. Like, guys, this is a serious thing. Like, you could talk to the Kespa people back in the day, and they talked about Rain and Sulky specifically as the strong guys coming up. And you've seen it in StarCraft 2. You've seen it again in StarCraft 1. I just think Rain is one of these guys where it's like, I just wish he wasn't popular. We could have it like a Protoss Bone Choi, It's a selfish thing to say, but I think he's just like a Flash level player. Obviously he hasn't put in the same work.
Rate.
Yeah. Look at that win rate in PvP. And then, you think of his KSL run, and, he's just... And the thing is, when you have, a player that's, best in the world best, at least in PvP and TVT, they can really show that off because they're using the same crap as their opponent. ZVZ, it doesn't matter how good you are, man. It just doesn't make that much of a difference.
Yeah.
But,
I think the nature of that matchup's very different.
Yeah.
Look, Rain could absolutely take this. Rain's a guy that doesn't have to be active all the time to be really, really good. Again, we're going to be going into Death Valley for map number 1, so game 1 should be very, very interesting. After that, we're going to wade back into more standard ladder maps. Guys, we are getting into this best of 7 right here, right now. SnOw versus Rain. The winner gets that 3rd spot in the top 4. Whatever you call it. I don't know why I can't talk. Let's go. Okay, so SnOw's going to be here in the top left, Rain in the bottom right. As always, guys, quick reminder, consider signing up for the Patreon. We're only able to do this because of support from viewers like you. Patreon.com/ASL English.
Thank you very much, guys. It's really been a pleasure. A lot. Oh, that's a quick probe.
Oh, he sent a probe out.
Yeah, a lot of people have been talking about how great this season is, and it's not a joke. We have some seasons that are better than others, and this is so far probably my favorite season. So I just want to put that out there. But yeah, that is a very fast probe. I mean, it has to be proxy 2-gate, right?
Yeah, of course. Yeah, he's going to send this out right away. You know, this is kind of genius again from Rain. Wait a minute, pylon there. Hold on. Let's see what this is.
Stealing a gas? Is he?
I mean, it's not really a thing, but I don't know. You know what I mean? He comes out here, he scouts, he goes back.
What?
What does he want to do with that probe?
I think it was going to go around and build gates in the bottom corner of the base, and now that he saw the pylon there, he's going to build them elsewhere?
Well, he wouldn't have made the pylon.
He's going to go
first
Nexus
if he was
first.
Do that.
He's going. I think. No? Oh, never mind. What? Why would you send a probe on 5 or 6? And he saw the pylon, so it just has to be that SnOw put that pylon there, and he's like, oh, I can't get by there. So he had to cancel the plan.
Yeah,
that has to be it. We're overthinking it. Like, that's just what it is.
But didn't he start the pylon before the probe got there?
Yeah. I think it was going to be slightly slower gates, but in the base.
Yeah, I mean, I that might be the only explanation. I mean, it's all I can think of, right? I thought he might put it on the low ground and then try to run up into the main, or you can see there's a ramp the probe just went by above this, not the one he's on now. Thought maybe he would make gateways there and try to blindside him. But yeah, I mean, maybe they'll identify that in the interview later, but that's definitely an interesting moment because the pylon did start, if I remember right, we were kind of talking about.
No, you're right. It did start. It did.
So, okay, so I'm not crazy then. So yeah, that's odd.
It was like the Max
I guess
build.
It's a bit of yeah, I guess it's a bit of a coin flip where, if you actually can figure out, is he going to try to Manor pylon here? It would be devastating to get a Manor pylon off here.
It could have been something even more teched out than what we're thinking about, where he makes his home build look normal and has a gate in your base or something like that. Could have been a DT rush and it could be SOS level crap, where you're just like, what?
Sure, yeah.
It could have been a lot of things, so it's actually really hard to say. But yeah.
It's a really good point. Yeah, it could have been something that weird where it's like a DT rush and he has a gateway hidden inside your base. And if you didn't scout, and you might, and this map is weird, you might not check a corner for a long time.
Yeah.
And if that happens, then suddenly there's a DT there and you look like a genius. And if not, okay, well then you're sort of behind in the sense that you're not able to mine. But you did at least confirm you're not getting proxy gated yourself. You did see what's, that he's not up to any kind of weird shenanigans like Nexus first or anything like that either. He's going to tear down the assimilators at the entrance and basically seal this area off.
So SnOw is just going to play the left side of the map, I guess. It kind of makes sense because you were talking about how this guy's Reavers, if it's a Reaver-based game, he should have the advantage. I don't think anyone can disagree with you on that. Maybe he's just prepping those so that he can kill them quickly if push comes that's too scary. That is kind of a cool aspect of this map. But yeah, that seems like it's a good idea for SnOw in general. Just because Rain is much more of like a Dragoon guy. Like in every matchup, he makes more Dragoons probably than anyone and focuses on that more heavily. So to have these ready to be torn down if need be. Oh, and he's going to tear one down immediately. Okay, he's tearing both. No? Yes? No? Yes?
So he's got the Nexus started. Yeah, and he does tear down the second gas geyser. So nothing can go in and out of that area. For those who don't know what we're talking about, those are neutral gas geysers built on there. There's something weird about the shapes of buildings in StarCraft where it's not like StarCraft 2, and that when things touch, there's a clear rule set about whether things are blocked off or not. So if it's two assimilators next to each other, you can squeeze in between them. It's considered a smaller building. When you kill that, suddenly, even though it looks like there's a big opening there, you can't get in between with anything.
Yeah, the assimilator is much smaller than the Vespene geyser, basically, is what it comes down to. And only when you have two geysers set like that, only ghosts can walk through, as hilarious as that is. So
yeah, even Lings can't fit through.
Yeah, Lings do not fit through there. A lot of StarCraft 1 and the way it works, and why walls are difficult, is it's based not off of the size of the building, but the graphical size. Just like the opposite is true for units, where units are assigned a size and it has nothing to do with the graphical size.
Correct. So it's kind of a funny little thing, but just so you can make sense of it, because this is a weird map. It's not a common map. By the way, we talk a lot about how some of the maps in previous ASLs were a little too crazy, a little bit too weird. But, the truth is, any map in a mirror matchup can be played and can be made interesting.
Absolutely.
That's always worth remembering.
Absolutely.
No matter how weird the map is, if you are both the same race, it doesn't matter.
That's so true.
And so that's why like this matchup's going to be so exciting with these two. So what we're seeing now is SnOw lock Rain into his base. The only way to get through that position is to mine that area out. And we've seen this happen in almost all the matchups on this map already. It seems like all the pros, when they get punished, they didn't mine that out quick enough.
So true.
It doesn't matter. There's no way to damage the minerals. I mean, sure, you could try to get your way out of there with a shuttle, but what happens is that now SnOw has access to the bottom left side of the map, while Rain only has access to the top right. And the bottom left has a lot more resources. Now, I don't know how long this game's going to go on, but we do want to keep that in mind if this is going to be that dramatic. And Rain's response is to take a super fast third base.
Yeah. And he, basically as soon as he realized that wasn't going to happen, he moved his probe from the front of SnOw's base and instantly made the third nexus. So you can see he's just kind of flowing with the game. And this is actually okay, so SnOw came in here with an excellent plan. Definitely Rain came with a plan, which was foiled immediately. But SnOw came in with a plan where it is working perfectly for SnOw so far. He's gotten everything he wanted. He destroyed the geysers. He blocked any cheese from occurring to himself. He's blocked minerals from being mined out. He's getting into a Reaver-based game. But Rain is so good at playing kind of like a natural game where he just looks at the situation and plays appropriately that I feel like this isn't as bad for Rain as it looks. And in fact, in some ways, you look at this and it's like, well, SnOw, I guess, could go mass speed shuttle like it's a Protoss versus Terran, but Rain is safe on this side, basically. He owns this side of the map. You're not going to be able to get in. He doesn't need to worry about a mass Dragoon attack coming. So he can kind of do what he wants from here as well.
I'm having crazy waves of nostalgia looking at this because I'm so old. I played back in the day when there were island maps, right? Including for tournaments like WCG. And this is what PvPs looked like on those maps, and a lot of people only picked Protoss on these types of island maps back then. So I had a ton of games, and it's cool to be, we're 25 years later from the early StarCraft 1 days, and this basically looks like one of those PvPs. It's like there's 3 gates. I guess there is a Citadel coming here. We don't know if there's going to be tech yet from SnOw. In fact, it looks like SnOw really is going to lock into Reaver Dragoon, kind of like what we talked about in the pre-show, where Rain wants to try to tech past this. But yeah, this is a huge throwback to one of the crazy matchups that we never get to see anymore, which is PvP on island maps like this.
And I actually think SnOw is making a huge mistake here trying to attack this side, because this and he's going towards Arbiter. Arbiter's just the answer here, it seems. Not surprised to see that, even though we never really see Arbiter in this matchup. But he's allowing Rain to play a game that doesn't have to be Reaver-based. As soon as he decided to play like this, even though Reavers are strong in a situation like this, you're not actually able to fully pressure with Reaver. I actually like what Rain is doing here. I like Rain's position.
I like Rain's position more. I agree with you 100%, Artosis. You never get to take a third base that fast in PvP, especially versus a player who's going Reaver. But because SnOw has locked him out of his own base, and then also locked Rain inside of his own base at the bottom right, there's not a lot of ways to punish. Now, you can get multiple shuttles with Reavers, with Dragoons, but any large number of Dragoons can kind of always fight that. So there's a little bit of risk involved. The Arbiter tech is... Okay, hold on. He's going to try to come in here now. And this is a pretty decently sized army. A lot of what Rain has is scrambling across the map from the north, trying to come down here and help out. The Scarab I think it does not dud, excuse me. He's going to push in a little bit further. And the question is going to be, does Rain actually have enough? The angle is pretty good, actually, for Rain.
Yeah, he has so many gateway units right now. This is how Rain likes to play the matchup anyways. SnOw trying to get in here and just kill him on a 2-base elevator push with Dragoons and Reavers. I guess the one thing that works out for him is he saw that it's Arbiter tech. And I got a question, this is going to sound a little bit crazy, Tasteless, but do you go Dark Archon? Feedback the Arbiters?
Oh, you feedback the Arbiter? I hadn't really thought of that.
That's the only...
Yeah, why not?
How else will you stop it? Arbiters have 4,000 health.
Here's a problem, Artosis. I think I get what you're saying. I think you're thinking about this like a Terran player, though. The
of course.
problem
in a
is
smart
that,
way,
like,
yes, thank you.
Protoss is they don't need to recall on top of your army. They're not Terran. They don't need to
No, I
recall
know,
on top
yeah.
of your base. They just need to recall the army out, right?
Okay.
Cloak is really good. I mean, on some level, yes, you could feedback the Arbiter, and it would not be able to freeze. It might not be able to recall. The other thing to note is that organically, because of the failed attack with the little elevator push that we were casting earlier, now Rain can just open up the bottom part of the map.
That's
He
true,
can just
too.
open up his entrance and just kind of come out. Now, Arbiters are actually still a thing if you get into really late-game PvP, which we don't really have, especially with the way Koreans play the game. They sort of lock in on Reaver tech, but we're here with Rain going for that tech right now. Now, SnOw wants to try to push. He is moving into this position. I don't know how many Reavers are in here. Okay, it's 4. This is going to be really hard to fight. I think Rain may have to ditch this.
Well, he's
Even
coming
with a sandwich, this is
yeah.
going to be really tough.
4 Reavers is just so many, and he splatters the goons on the right-hand side. His left-hand goons did all right there for a moment, but it's way too many Reavers. This was a much better push than what we saw into that main base.
Yeah, that was pretty beautiful. I think that at this phase of the game, Rain could go for stasis. So what you
Stasis
can
the
do is
Reavers?
just stasis the Reavers and
Oh
the
my
shuttles.
God.
Yeah, or just Reavers, whatever. And then you just run in and you take the fight. You kill everything, and then you murder the Reaver when it thaws.
Tasteless. But have you thought of stasising the Observer?
Hold up. He's going to try to drop in here.
Oh
This
my
could be a
God.
huge mistake, actually.
Well, he's got those speed shuttles, so he's going up to the main base. He just forced all the probes out. Very nice tactics here from SnOw. And that is a lot of probes he might be able to
Oh, my
get.
God.
Oh, man.
I don't think he's targeting the probes, actually.
Yeah, he's actually just reducing
it's
the
funny.
zealot count.
Which I guess is okay. You know, the funny thing with Shuttle Reaver is, like, you can do crazy things when you have 1 shuttle and 2 Reavers. It's hard to do it with 2. It really doesn't work out the way you can try to juggle them. There are some tricks to it, but the fall off is steep there. Oh my God, he's going to just pin the shuttle down here.
And he gets the cloak.
So this is huge.
Okay,
Right,
so
he's
he's
going to
going
get
to clear
closure
those.
on that observatory.
There's actually still units over there coming for the natural of Rain. I'm actually still a little bit nervous for him here. It feels like SnOw's push is not over. He's doing a great job on a lot of things. Look at this. Gets up on top of this, but looks like Zealot legs are done. A huge amount of Dragoons down to the bottom there for SnOw. He just has a lot of supply right now. It seems to me like he's got such a good tempo advantage from that bust of the third base of Rain that he might be able to just lean on him and kill him off here.
You know, if he could get some Size Storm, that does counter Reavers in a later game. It's a lot harder to micro versus, you know, a stable army with Size Storm. He could end up getting Stasis, though. Let's see how this goes. I mean, he has the energy. I have to imagine that he's going to go for, you know, some kind of Arbiter spell. You don't just get Arbiters and then kind of keep them not as spellcasters, right? There's going to be a Reaver drop over here. Oh, my God. Oh.
Some very good
Okay, that was a
scarabs
weird...
there. Oh my God!
Yeah.
Sorry, this is just crazy to see
No, you're
SnOw
fine.
running around with these Reavers right now, despite a huge army from Rain. He's just got Rain on the back foot, and look at the size of that army coming in. There is a counterattack from Rain, but this is going to bust up his new third base.
The juggling is fantastic here from SnOw, just like we were predicting earlier. If SnOw can get the Reavers, it's going to be really hard to get anything done versus him. This is going to knock him onto 2 bases with probably a significantly less probes overall here for Rain. Rain is back up in his base, but the problem is he's got Zealot, Speed, Dragoon, Arbiter, which isn't really helpful because as long as there's observers, the Arbiter doesn't really do a whole lot. Is he going to stasis this? He does!
Sick play right
That
there.
is nasty.
Yeah, and he'll be able to kill off the rest of those units easily. Look at this. The counterattack that had killed the other Nexus goes after the cannon, and that's going to allow the DT to do some work. But SnOw with another attack here, and more Shuttle Reavers coming in. Oh my God, this is so difficult to deal with.
He does another one. Freezes that.
Oh
So
my God.
insane. He's going to clear this up. You know, there's a world where maybe SnOw can have a few bad exchanges. He's going to get ready to try to surround this. I don't think there's an observer here. Oh, no, there is.
Yeah.
But he still should be able to clobber this.
Yeah, with the speed zealots on top of everything, especially if he spreads it out pretty well, it should be all right. And Ooh, that was a really good pickup on the Reavers. SnOw is so on top of it, but another stasis on the Reavers go down. Unfortunately for him, though, there's so many Dragoons coming down here, and he's going to try to target down that Arbiter. Oh, he thought Dragoons could kill an Arbiter. What a silly guy.
It's so funny. It is so tanky. I think Rain has barely been broken, but let's see. He takes out this attack. SnOw actually kind of fumbles the ball over here, loses that Reaver, and now he can come down here and try to fight this again. He should just barely have enough Dragoons that if he can get onto the low ground with enough of this, he should be able to take this fight.
Dude, this
Another Arbiter's going to come in here. Now, where's the observers, by the way, for Rain? It seems like a lot of them were targeted there. Okay, he's going to take that out. Now, if he can take fights where there's no vision at all, it's going to be huge. I'm curious, too, by the way. Oh, my God, that's... Okay, he actually canceled that. That wasn't a kill. I'm curious how many robos there are here for SnOw. Did he go for double robo?
Yes, he did. He got a second robo quite some time ago, which, I mean, it plays really well into his style. That's something he's so good at. Rain is so far on the back foot. Like, if he... You know, the third bust was really everything there for SnOw. And he's had the lead ever since, but Rain is making some moves. Like, this is dangerous.
Okay, so good evacuation here by Rain. I think that they might... Okay, he's just going to go for the Nexus. That actually is probably okay if he loses that, just because he's going to have a new base down there. The question is going to be, can Rain take out these other bases? Like, I don't see this base being contested. A couple Zealots coming over here and confirm this fourth base, soon to be now the third base. Oh my God, don't lose that Observer.
Yeah.
He loses the Observer. Oh my God.
That is a bit rough.
It's one of the only tools he has, really, that's going to allow him to try to, you know, snipe Observers and maybe win a fight with Cloak alone.
Well, look, the Cloak is really paying off. Look at it. Look how much damage he's doing against this
crazy.
army.
He's got another Observer. Hold on. Actually, SnOw could lose this here. This is wild. He does have a stasis. Remember that. You know, the Reavers are utterly useless if they're frozen. They can't do anything. So he's got to make sure he keeps these shuttles separate. But this one Arbiter that we see almost has two stasises.
Oh, let's see it. Let's see it. He's got to get them off. All right, that's a huge stasis right there. Does he cast a secondary one?
He goes for a dive on the shuttle. He can dive on these Reavers. Tastosis, he's doing it.
Oh my God, he's picking off the Reavers so quickly. His Speed Zealot getting on top of those Dragoons as well. He's definitely going to crush this army. And if SnOw doesn't bring a big army down here quickly to help those units out, then he's going to lose those as well.
More Dragoons are going to come up here.
Oh my God, he's
going to push in a little bit further.
More Dragoons.
I think he's going to try to take this fight. This is so crazy. SnOw's dancing really nicely, trying to do a little bit of zoning plays.
Yeah, well, he's got to come in here as stasis ends so that he has a chance to actually at least make those units worthwhile. Very, very important.
Now, where's the next Arbiter? There should be one more Arbiter out.
I don't think he made it.
Beautiful.
I think he stopped producing Arbiters for a bit.
Oh! By the way, I think that SnOw went for Reaver damage.
Yeah,
some of these shots have been completely absurd.
I think you're definitely right.
I think the counterattack now will win this.
Yeah.
I don't think that Rain has enough. You know what? He's not mining gas at his other expansion. That's why he can't get a Arbiter.
Yeah, it looks like he finally has started up a new one, but Rain's got almost nothing left. He does have 2 attack upgrades, and SnOw has none, other than probably the Reaver damage upgrade, which actually makes sense for this game, the way that is played out. But more Reavers coming down, and the writing is on the wall. It does look like SnOw has been able to take this game. What a game, though. My God, what a great game, number one. That was so exciting.
And this is why these mirror matchup games, GG, these mirror matchups are always going to be perfect on even the craziest of the crazy maps, because it's still balanced, right?
Yeah, yeah. That was just fantastic. I got it. Look, this is kind of what I was talking about. SnOw's gonna have one game where we're like, damn, he's so good. The thing is, his plans went his way. Like, he got the opening he wanted. He blocked everything. Rain's plan went haywire, but Rain actually started to come back. Like, he was playing a very good game. It's just that push on his third was just, like, really well timed from SnOw. Rain lost a lot of units. He lost his third base and wasn't quite able to recover from there, but he almost did. He almost did. And you're not going to be able to dictate a game like that on any other map. So I am still feeling Rain is looking really good tonight.
Not surprised to see a Reaver here on the cheerful. Beautiful play by SnOw. Honestly, a really cool PvP. I mean, we just don't get to cast games like that. I really enjoyed that. But we got a long road ahead before we figure out who's going to be advancing here. Right now, Rain down a game. SnOw with a 1-0 lead, guys. We're going to go to a short break. Coming up next is the map Eclipse.
이 에너지 드링크는 이것을 올리지 않아. 단백질이 들어있거든. 청량하게 마시는 단백질 에너지 드링크. 에너지가 담백해. 하식스 토프로.
Like money, baby, yeah. You can catch me where it's sunny, baby, yeah. If you talking that, you better run me, baby, yeah. All my haters, they want a piece of me, baby, but I never give them this. I just go and cop that. Anything that I rock, they be asking me, where'd you get that? Passing 5 checks, cause I'm a vibe, yes. I'm so fly, I got them so pressed, yeah. Face card killing, aesthetically pleasing. Watch the fit, I be killing hoes, really. Peep the acrylics, I'm shining, I'm beaming. Any given day, I be starting on you bitches. Wow, wow, I got that wow, wow. Anything that I want, I'ma get it now. Yeah, wow, wow, I got that wow, wow. I be feeling like a knockout, baby, pow, pow. I be winning, I be chilling. In my robe, I make it killing. Cutting deals like a boss, cause that's just...
Welcome back, everybody. It's time already to go into game number 2. Really special PvP we saw there. We almost never get to see the Arbiter used in the matchup. It can be used in super late game PvP if you get past Arbiter tech, if you're both in Templar tech, maybe one of you is in Templar tech even. And it's sort of the cherry on top of the tech tree cake, so to speak.
Sure.
In that Stasis can freeze. In that game we saw Reavers, but it can freeze Archons and big chunks of other units. Similar to a PvT, you can try to chunk out parts of their army and try to win in a fight where you just have more.
Looked fantastic. It was really cool. If only Rain hadn't had that terrible bust on himself at the third base. Like, he lost so many units and the base. If he had lost one or the other, like so many units or the base, I think that game is still going on. But such is life, and SnOw starts out 1-0. I don't think a huge surprise to anybody. But going into some more standard maps now. I believe Eclipse is going to be our next map, and a 2-player map. Whenever I think of Eclipse PvP, I think back to Flash bodying SnOw by hiding a Nexus. I don't know if Rain has a crazy plan here or not, but I'd like to see it.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how the rest of the openers go here for Rain. We were saying earlier, if Rain's going to win, he's going to be winning based off of probably a lot of build order wins, probably not a lot of Dragoon Reaver dogfights. Really, SnOw is the best at that in every matchup, and most certainly the best at that in PvP. But yeah, let's see what happens. Eclipse, of course, is a map where you can proxy gate. Proxy Gate's one of the strongest builds in the game, and as good as it is versus Zerg or versus Terran, it's probably strongest versus Protoss.
Yeah. Well, we're going to go into Eclipse, see how these guys end up opening. Would love to see some cheesy stuff here, Tasteless, but time will tell.
ASL Season19.
All right, guys, we're going to go into Game 2. SnOw up with a 1-0 lead in this best of 7. Let's see what happens. Okay, SnOw here in the top right, Rain in the bottom left. Yeah, very interested to see, are we going to have any proxy gates, any insanity, Or is this going to be more of just kind of your standard, both players go for gas, tech up? There's that very specifically ambiguous moment on both sides where the Dragoon can basically chase the other player out, and then we see where the big decision tree occurs on both sides. Two-gate can occur in PvP. It is a build. It seems like Korean players just don't do it.
Pretty rare.
Almost ever. And when I say two-gate, I mean two-gate in the main. It just seems like they've decided that you can hold it. It's not that strong, and they would much prefer to just go into a tech game.
Definitely seems that way. Rain actually checks the side of his base. Just a little note. Love it. Someone went up and told him, like, hey, you're going to be on camera. Okay, so I just want to, because this is like early game PvP and nothing crazy is going on, I want to throw out this little trivia thing. A little bit of StarCraft history for you guys. You know, SnOw is super synonymous with Reavers. And Reavers really have kind of come into their own in modern StarCraft. They're much more powerful than they were considered way back in the day, even though obviously they were used back then as well. But only a couple other players come to mind that I can remember that were really known for their Reaver usage. One was Into the Rainbow, who was the protege of Into the Rain, who is one of the commentators for Korea for ASL. But yeah, Into the Rainbow, who actually ended up switching to Terran and getting second place in the first GSL season ever. So that's kind of a cool little factoid. And then the only other player that really, in my mind, was synonymous with Reavers in the old days was the best Chinese player, PJ, who never really did anything in the pro scene, but he was the best player outside of Korea for some time. Joined SK Telecom for a bit, never really made a big splash, but he was really well known for having great shuttle Reaver play.
Yeah, I was about to ask you, if I remember right, he was on a pro team for a little bit. Yeah, that was SKT. Yeah, you know, there's been more speculation on this matchup, by the way, than I think any of the other matchups in the round of 4. Or the round of 8, excuse me.
Yeah.
Going into the round of 4, just because it's a really interesting, tough one to call. Yeah, SnOw known so much for his Reaver play. It'll be interesting to see if we do actually have a game where Rain can win on that. That would be incredible. So far in this game, they both went for the late scout, another very Korean play. Players tend to not want to scout that early. Even though Proxygate's very strong, I guess because all these guys have practiced against it so much, you know, for a quarter of a century, they're just sort of so good at holding it. But we're going to have to wait and see after the probes are chased out, what's the tech going to be. Whenever you watch this scouting, it's a weird situation because they never scout anything. You never see anything. But what you're doing is you're forcing them to not make like a Citadel or a Robo or anything really weird too soon. Does that make sense?
Absolutely. You make sure that the tech can't come down. The same thing actually happens in Terran versus Terran. Like if you can avoid the Marine for long enough, you never get to the point inside the main base where you can see what they're going to do. But like if they're going to go to factory, at least you've slowed it down so much that its power goes away. A lot of its power.
Right.
Goes. But yeah, same type of idea. And then in ZVZ, if your Overlord goes there, just floats there until a little bit before Mutas then tries to run. ZVZ is such a problem, man. It's such a problem matchup. I know some people really enjoy it, and there are fun aspects to it, but like, dude, that's the worst matchup in this game by miles.
Yeah, it definitely has its limitations, just based off scouting alone. It's hard to surprise the other guy. So this game we have... Okay, Rain's going to do it. I was, again, mentioning this in the pre-show. Rain is one of the only guys who will go for the blind Nexus off of one gate. So early in my casting days when I first moved to Korea, I always described PvP as one where there was, like, only a few options, right? You could either go for a Robo, you could go for Dark Templars, or you could go for 3-gate, and 3-gate was, pretty cheesy, especially on maps with a small ramp, but sometimes you could win. After casting a bunch of Reigns games, I realized you could also just go for a Nexus. And if they're playing super safe, like they're going to go for Observers, and keep in mind, Rain is known for going DTs more than anybody else in ASL. He basically oscillates a lot of times between this build and DTs. So people that go for Observers too fast, they just end up being behind because he's got a base.
That's such a smart pairing. I actually hadn't put that together. Like, I knew factually that he goes DTs more than pretty much everyone, and I knew factually that he goes for a quick Nexus a good amount of the time, but you're completely correct. Pairing those two builds together being known for both of those builds being common, like, it's more of an auto loss if you don't get an Observer to DT than it is if you play safe against Nexus. So it, like, kind of allows him to play greedy because he's willing to go DT so often. Wow, that's a really smart... I love finding out things like that, where it's like, yeah, the pairing of these two strategies and being known for both makes you so much stronger. It's kind of like Sulky. You know, it's the thing, we keep coming back to how Rain is very much like a Sulky or a Flash-type player, where it's like, Sulky mixes in cheese better than everybody, and it allows him to play greedy games better.
I remember when we casted KSL, after he did this a bunch, I would go on ladder and try this. I am, okay?
Yep,
like, you really, it's a bit more of a tournament build.
Yes.
It's not something you do blindly against a bunch of people, because people will just attack you. They're just kind of doing whatever they're doing, right? But I think PvP is more of a poker game early on than any other matchup. And so the way that Rain approaches this, I think, causes a lot of problems. And people, it seems like a lot of the pros just don't really know how to deal with it. So what he does is he gets a later robo. By the way, if SnOw were to go DT blindly versus this, he would have killed him. You know, or if he had gone for 3 Gateway Dragoon, he would have killed him. So there's, but the thing is, SnOw doesn't play like that, right? He's a Reaver guy. He's trying to basically play stably until he can get to a Reaver, probably get shuttle speed, and then play from there. So Rain right now is at a slight edge. I don't know if Rain is going to go for Reavers as well. That's another question I'm asking myself. Will he try to tech past this? Or will he try... Oh, no, I'm sorry. He actually has his own Reavers coming too, so I stand corrected. He will be trying to match SnOw on this, and he'll have a slight lead in both probes and income and the rest of his development, because you can get Reavers a little bit later and still be fine versus somebody who got Reavers if you got your base up early.
So, you know, with this earlier probe saturation, if I'm recalling correctly, PvP 2 base, 6 Gate Goon, 1 Robo Reaver. That kind of maxes out your income once you have your probes up, right?
Hold on one sec, Tastosis. Actually, Rain's going to try to push in here. Now, this number of Dragoons will two-shot his opponent's Dragoons. One Dragoon bugs, he gets stuck back there. He's going to have to debug that one. He gets that one moving again here. Rain really snowballing that fight. The Zealot's going to try to run through here. That's going to be hunted down. And SnOw has already lost a couple of Dragoons. He's going to stay back. Oh, actually, he's going to try to push. Tastosis, I'm sorry, what was the question you asked me?
Well, it doesn't matter right now. We can talk about it later. But
sure.
Right now, this push coming in, I don't know that this is going to work. Like, Rain has a lot of units. I love the spread of pylons he has on the map as well to watch for incoming Reavers. But he's actually moved a bunch of his Dragoons up to maybe catch an incoming shuttle. Kind of a funny location for them. I guess they can come in for a flank as well.
Yeah, he wants to try to flank.
Oh, okay.
That's 100% his whole goal here. He's going to rely on the F2, F3 keys on camera to basically, if he gets dropped at a surprising position, to run away. But if that doesn't happen, he's mining more. He can just play keep away. And then if the push comes, he can try to snipe the Reaver, the shuttle in the back. And now, this is a weird moment. Are they going to go around each other? No. He's going to come back over here. And Rain's going to try to just take the fight straight up.
Well, it seems to me like Rain has so much more supply that even if you have great Reaver control, this is not likely to work. He actually has 4 Dragoons going around the map, and in fact, it looks like he's thinking of counterattacking, but an observer's watching this entire thing unfold from Rain.
Okay, so he's going to drop, and shuttle speed's done. He waited for the exact second when shuttle speed would be finished to try to come in here and punish. He targeted the perfect number of probes. He's going to come in again. A little bit of a clumsy unload here from SnOw. He targets. It looks like it's going to... No, it's going to connect because he targets a Dragoon. So there's a counterattack happening here from Rain.
That counterattack is going to have to do a lot.
And what SnOw's trying to do is our observer just going to miss this entirely?
Yep.
Okay, here we go. So this is a really calculated move here. He's going to try to come in here and basically smother this natural. He says, I can kill every Reaver and every Dragoon as it comes out. And all Rain has to do now is kind of hold on, because he's keeping the bulk of his probes. He's going to have to keep trying to micro back and forth, keep trying to move this. A stray Reaver snipes one of the 2 Reavers. That cuts in half the damage that SnOw can do. Dude, Rain is so good.
Yeah.
This is one of the best counter plays I've seen. He basically waited it out, got into a position, where there's no way that he will be fully killed, and with the counterattack, it's enough to strong-arm SnOw, and I think SnOw's dead.
Yeah.
This is incredible.
That's rain for you right there. That is rain for you. He just, like, the guy is unbelievable. Very, very impressive.
I want to point out, so they both went Shuttle Reaver, but Rain won with a build and a strategy, which negated SnOw's micro and attack. SnOw realized he's behind. He's got to push in. Rain already had the momentum from the early second base and realized I won't die to this if I can just keep running around with probes and I'm making Dragoons and a third Reaver, which will come out and help me. I can barely hold this off. What SnOw can't do is stop all of my Dragoons from running up the ramp and killing everything. And if I remember correctly in that last game, Rain sent his Shuttle and Reaver with his push and just tried to hold off the counterattack with the few Dragoons he has.
That was wild to see. Great execution there from Rain. Really understanding what he needed to do to get that game done. And that's tough for SnOw. It does kind of come to what you were saying. Rain gets that build order advantage with the very fast Nexus. Does SnOw stop trying to play so safe?
Hard to say. Yeah, Rain definitely, now that we're in kind of ordinary maps, has identified the behaviors that keep SnOw strong, and he's circumventing them early on and getting into a lead. I don't think I've seen that many games, or even if any, that he goes DT, but let's see. DT could be an interesting mix-up here for SnOw. Anyways, guys, we're tied up 1-1 and going into Game 3. Okay, Rain in the top right, SnOw in the bottom right. On the note of that last game, I'm just going to speak from my own experience and stuff I've seen online, because a lot of these really smart ideas at the top, they trickle down, and everybody kind of gets to see what's going on. I've had a couple of these games where I'll Dragoon contain somebody at the bottom of the ramp, or the top of the ramp, depending on the map, but let's just say it's at the bottom of the ramp. They're on, like, Fighting Spirit or Polypoid. And what I used to do is I would contain them until I felt like it was the last second that I could get away with it, and I would run back. And what I've started doing is I'll take maybe the 6 Dragoons that I had that were containing them. Instead of going back and trying to get ready to hold a push, I would just get ready for a counterattack. And so I see this is going to be a proxy gate. Let me just finish this thought real quick here, and then I'm going to talk about this. The number of games I win where when they finally get out of their base and try to all in me, I just win with the counterattack is crazy. I'll just run up my own ramp and give up my expansion and hold the game, and I'll kill all their probes. So I think counterattacks are going to be more and more on the rise here in PvP. Now, to what's actually happening here, I thought I was going to have time to go on that tangent. Mm-hmm. This is called
two-thirds proxy.
Like the two-thirds build. It's a coin flip where your side of the coin is more likely to land. The side of the coin that you want, it's more likely to land for you. You proxy gate 2 of the locations and hope that he's not at the third one. And this is devastating. And this is once again Rain going for a build order win. If you ever get to somebody who's like, 400 points ahead of you on ladder, you can try this build and win. It's crazy strong.
Yes, and it does not feel good to run into this when they get it right, and it's hilarious when they get it wrong. So if SnOw happened to be top left, this game would be almost over already. There's just almost no comeback potential because the travel distance is so far. Here, the travel distance is pretty close. It's not the closest proxy gates. You're on a 2-player map or something, you could definitely get it closer. But this is much more unpredictable because we have no idea when SnOw will even be able to find Rain's base. And the natural scouting path doesn't go through there. Ooh.
That proxy pylon is essential to lock the win in.
Dude, there's a second
because
probe
that's
coming.
Sorry. Is there?
Yes.
Oh, no, you're right. Yeah, there is. So I guess that's part of the all-in. I didn't know that was a factor in the build. This forces probes to go all the way into the back mineral patch, which just slows down mining. Yeah, I mean, I guess why not, right? Just like have... Oh, wait, hold on. What's he going to do here? Pylon?
Oh, he's going to do a pylon prison? Maybe a prison for the Dragoon?
I think he's going to make a battery.
Oh, maybe.
Oh, maybe. Yeah.
Okay, and SnOw
Well, he's
actually
gonna make
puts
his own battery, and
yeah. So that and he actually cancels it
but he
out.
can just do this. But he can just do a double.
Yeah, but now you can
Yeah,
hold
and now he's
position
gonna have to cancel
probes.
the battery.
You can put probes though there to not let that occur. Well, he lets it go through. Obviously, this makes it very wonky here for SnOw, but he gets his battery to finish up. There's great probe drilling going on.
Okay, this is going to be really hard for SnOw. The battery's up. He does have 2 probes with this rush. 2 probe hits plus 2 zealot hits kill a probe. He's just splitting this up. The juggling is great. I got to say, SnOw's micro's pretty phenomenal. He's killed off both probes. You really have to grind this game down to a halt. He does get the pylon block up here. The probe block failed.
Did he just pop
So
a
he's just going to go in here.
through those pylons there? Did that actually just occur?
No,
Like, can he fit there, or what is that?
No, the Dragoon's trapped there. That's his home now.
Okay. So he did actually end up making the prison. So he's getting like some almost free Dragoon kills. But the micro of SnOw is unbelievable here. Look at that. Wait, what?
He gets the battery up. I think this rush has failed.
Dude,
How did that
that's
get out?
crazy. Yeah, I don't know. That looks really weird to me. And Rain is just going to GG. Okay.
I think that Rain kind of waffled a little bit with the rush.
Yeah.
I think you really need to figure out where you're committing. If you try to split everything up, the zealots get isolated. You have to like figure out what's the target. There's different things you can try to take on. You know, just try to get target the Dragoon. First of all, kill the zealot always. Then target the Dragoon. Have maybe 1 zealot attacking workers and interrupting mining. But yeah, it seemed like everything got spread out. I almost wish we could get a replay of that weird moment where the Dragoon was on the other side.
Yeah. I'm not sure what that was.
Pylon prison? That was a very strange moment.
I thought that was going to lock, but maybe that's just like the funniness of the shield battery. The shield battery is probably the least used building in the game other than, I guess, covert ops. But, it's we don't see it that
other
much.
than infested command center.
Yeah. I think infested command center might be around more than covert ops, but anyways, that was a fast one, and SnOw does lead 2-1. Got to be feeling good about that.
Guys, short break. We'll be right back with the map Deja Vu.
이 에너지 드링크는 이것을 어울리지 않아. 단백질이 들어있거든. 청량하게 마시는 단백질 에너지 드링크. 에너지가 담백해. 하식스 퍼프로.
너 너무 장문충이야. 짧게 해줘.
아니야. 반말을 하네 친구가. 안녕 챗GTP.
안녕. 또 왔구나.
텐션 좀 높이고 빨리 말해줘.
오케이. 그럼 에너지 좀 올려서 빠르게 말해볼게.
내가 누군지 맞춰볼래?
좋아. 그럼 한번 맞춰보자. 너는 연예인이야? 아니면 다른 분야에서 유명해?
연예인은 아니고 다른 분야에서 유명해.
그럼 혹시 스포츠 쪽 인물이야? 아니면 다른 분야?
e스포츠 쪽이야.
그럼 혹시 스타크래프트 선수야?
스타크래프트 맞아.
그럼 종족이 뭔지 알려줄래?
프로토스야.
프로토스 현역 선수라면 혹시 정윤종이야?
정윤종 아니야.
아, 정윤종이 아니구나. 혹시 도제욱이야?
도제욱도 아니야.
고제욱도 아니면 장윤철 정도가 떠오르는데
맞아. 잘했네. 장윤철은 어떤 선수야?
장윤철은 안정적인 플레이 스타일과 뛰어난 전략으로 유명하고 중요한 경기에서 꾸준히 좋은 성적을 내는 선수야.
그러면은 단점은 뭐야?
가끔 너무 안정적인 플레이에 치우쳐서 변수를 만드는데 약간 부족할 때가 있어.
데미지 제대로 들어왔는데요? 와, 탱크가.
장윤철 리버는 어떤 거 같아?
장윤철의 리버 운영은 굉장히 깔끔하고 효과적이야. 타이밍을 잘 잡아서 리버를 투입하고 상대에게 큰 타격을 주는 능력이 돋보여. 이런 디테일한 컨트롤이 장윤철의 강점 중 하나지.
리버 플레이는 100점 만점 중에 몇 점 정도 될까?
리버 플레이만 놓고 본다면 100점 만점에 한 80점 정도는 줄 수 있을 것 같아. 정확한 타이밍이 돋보이고
좀 짜네요. 점수를 짜게 주네. 리버 플레이는 그래도 90 정도. 안녕.
네, 또 뭘 도와드려야 하죠?
말투가 왜 그래?
또 말투가 문제라니 진짜 끝없는 불만이네요.
내가 누구게?
아, 또 퀴즈야. 자, 누군지 맞춰보는 거지?
나 프로게이머야.
어떤 게임인지 힌트를 좀 줘봐.
RTS.
스타크래프트겠네.
오, 맞아.
이제 스타크래프트 프로게이머 중에 한 명인 건데
내 별명 노잼종.
그러면 노잼조라는 별명이면 조일장 말하는 거지?
나 프로토스야.
프로토스의 노잼종이라면 변현재 맞지?
아니 못 맞추. 아니야. 스타 1, 스타 2 둘 다 우승자.
김태경 얘기하는 거.
아니 일부러 이렇게 해놓은 거 아니야? 내 이름 정윤종이야. 왜 이렇게 못 맞춰?
아, 정윤종이었구나. 결국 이렇게 직접 말해주게 만드는구나.
네가 못 맞췄잖아.
내가 이렇게까지 못 맞출 줄은 몰랐어. 다음번엔 좀 더 정확히.
정윤종은 어떤 선수야?
정말 뛰어난 프로토스 선수였지. 안정적인 플레이 스타일과 똑똑한 운영으로 유명했고 많은 팬들이 있었어.
그럼 단점은?
단점이라면 가끔 중요한 순간에 무리한 선택을 해서 을 놓치는 경우가 있지. 그리고
그럼 마지막으로 이번에 나 몇 등 할 것 같아?
네가 보여준 실력으로 충분히 우승까지 노릴 수 있을 거라고 생각해.
그럼 무조건 우승하는 거야?
그럼 당연히 우승할 거라고 믿지.
오, 오케이 고마워. 우승하고 올게.
꼭 우승하고 돌아와.
오, 말로만 들었거든요? 근데 되게 기술이 발전이 많이 됐다. 아 근데 저를 너무 못 맞춰가지고 그래도 뭔가 힘이 되는 말을 해줘가지고 예, 기운은 나네요. 저번 시즌도 4강 갔는데 이번 시즌도 꼭 가야 된다고 생각하고 있고 정말 이 양 물고 올라가 보도록 하겠습니다. 일단 좀 힘겹게 8강 올라왔는데 8강전에서 좀 멋진 모습 한번 보여드리도록 하겠습니다. 감사합니다.
Welcome back, everybody. I gotta say, I'm really worried for Rain after that loss. I think that's one where you're supposed to win. The whole reason why he does that build is that should beat somebody who is going for gas first. It's a really dirty, hard to stop build, and the fact that SnOw held it makes me a little bit scared because it means even when Rain gets a strategic edge, micro-wise, SnOw is still maybe a little bit better at decision-making.
Well, I'm going to throw the complete reverse on that. I'm not afraid at all. It was a stupid all-in. It didn't work. It's a coin flip, whatever. We're going to Game 4. Rain's got this one. And
okay.
Yeah, I want to throw this out there. You said that SnOw is better at decision making. I'm gonna give you the Turing test, man. We're gonna see if you're even conscious. Like, what's going on here? What are you talking about? Oh my God!
No, I mean the decisions in the fight. The decisions in the fight.
Oh, okay.
Rain shouldn't have had his zealots chasing too many targets because even though it feels chaotic, if you can kind of micro everything, eventually you get your stuff out and you're okay. What's important is that the damage snowballs at the start, and then the trickle of zealots that comes in. You know, it's too overpowering to stop. I see what he did there.
Today is rainy day.
Today is rainy.
Yeah.
There's another guy with a sign, I want to make a snowman. I'm like, all right, you guys are all just great. All these signs are great. So, yeah, I mean, you know, it just kind of shows that when the micro is really tested, SnOw's a little bit better. Like, he basically stalled out correctly. He made all the right decisions. I think that Rain couldn't find an obvious target or anywhere to commit. And the game dried up. So, you know, this game's going to be back in the realm of normal. We have both sides going for probably gate into gas. We'll see if anybody double gates. I highly doubt it.
Yeah, that would be a little bit wild to try to pull that off again, especially when it failed that time and you kind of had them do everything you wanted. The only thing that could have been better is if you hadn't made a zealot, which is pretty rare right now, I think. I feel like I see every PvP, everyone's making the zealot. No one's really skipping directly into dragon.
Yeah, the idea with the zealot is that it'll help you stop something like what we saw in the last game. Sometimes people don't make the zealot, but the zealot's it's kind of like a little Swiss Army knife unit for everything that happens early on. And there are moments where it doesn't really play a role, you know, like if you don't interact with each other that much and you expand. But like, let's say you get proxy gated. Okay, that zealot's going to basically buy you the time, especially if you can keep it alive. You know, it can, in certain situations, like on maps like this, you could end up blocking the ramp if they scout late.
Yeah.
That can then open up a whole universe of different build orders that you can't otherwise do if you're scouted. In some of these early Dragoon fights, just having it, like if they skip a zealot and you have a zealot, your zealot can just chase their Dragoon, so they have to micro around that, which can give you a little bit of a micro edge. So it seems like the general rule of thumb right now at the highest level of PvP is just always get the zealot and keep your options open. By the way, in this game, and we'll see if the block actually works, the zealot block can be tricky. At this level, I imagine they're both going to have this block perfectly, but sometimes we have a surprise.
Yeah, that's definitely perfect.
Yeah, so this game we're going to have... Okay, hold on.
Very swift micro.
We're going to have Blind Man's PvP on both sides. So this is a much more complex PvP early game. Because you could play normal, which it looks like Rain is going to do. He's going to go for range. You could have gone for Citadel immediately. You know, or just do a whole bunch of other weird things. Observers are much more likely to be made on both sides if they're going to play safe. There is no rule in PvP that you have to play safe, by the way. You could just go for, like, here's a weird one, going for Robo and then just going for Shuttle Reaver with no Observer. That's one of the weirder PvP builds because, you know, it feels like, couldn't you just get the Observer and be safe? But if they do anything that, like, expands early, you just kill them with a Reaver push, right?
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Oh my god,
oh my god.
He missed that one shot. That was brutal. And now a full scout here from Rain. Oh my gosh.
So this basically never happens in an ASL game, but it can happen very rarely in a PvP, is you get the scout off after the initial probe denial. And that is crazy good for Rain, because he now ensures what the tech is going to be, and he can kind of respond accordingly, whereas SnOw doesn't know. SnOw has no idea what kind of game he's in right now.
Do you turn this into complete aggro? I actually want to see him go directly into Reaver like you were talking about. Rain has gone into Nexus instantly after scouting that. The thing is, you can't react to scouting that with going DT, I don't think. The best reaction that you probably would have is to just make the Nexus like we saw in the Eclipse game. So if SnOw here goes Reaver right away, do you think that just becomes almost a free win for him?
Maybe. Yeah, I think it's a good idea. I mean, this has been pretty consistent. We casted Rain playing like this like years ago, and he's still doing it. So this is sort of his playbook. But yeah, I think SnOw has the right idea by trying to force aggro. This probe is to try to dive in and confirm a Nexus if it's there. And SnOw's actually doing something kind of counterintuitive, but I sort of like it. Is he's going for the same build but forcing a Nexus earlier. Normally, you know, if you were feeling unsafe, you would make the Reaver and try to slowly play. He's going to make the Nexus first and try to stay a bit more aggro to kind of generate the image of a threat when in reality nothing's happening behind this. Ideally, he would try to get in there with the probe and see if there's an expansion or not, but right now Rain is actually controlling all the information in this game. Remember that SnOw doesn't know if there's a base there or not.
I think
Snow's trying to figure out, okay, like maybe this is like a push. I don't know what's about to come.
I think he's intuited, though, that it's probably a Nexus, like, which, you know, shows he's got his own Nexus that he kind of countermade there. Obviously, Rain is already mining now, pushing across the map. He should be able to spot that observer coming across, so not going to be too surprised about that. Couple of probes, like, it looks like he's neglecting his probes just slightly there, but that happens sometimes when you're moving around the map. As long as you're making the probes, it's not the end of the world. But, oh, no, he really doesn't notice. When you see the probes actually transfer and he still has 4 probes sitting there, this is reminding me, man, of that Sulky game. Remember when he didn't mine a gas for the entire game? It's like, damn, man, every now and then you do got to check. I know you're great, but, like, you got to go check. What is going on here? Okay, there we go.
There it is. One thing I've learned from watching pros is that sometimes, like, a lot of times in my head, the most important thing is to make the probes mine. It seems like actually at the highest level, it's okay to have a couple queue up, and it's more important to make sure all your buildings are making and your units are making.
Yeah.
Like, even when I watch Flash play, sometimes I'll go back and there'll be like 7 SCVs just sitting there.
It's more important to make them than to get them mining, because, you know, it's only incremental after you have all the patches. Like, once you have 2 per patch, it's like, yeah, I mean, you are actually gaining minerals from having them on there, but just having them is important. Like, you can prioritize some other things. And that's like an important thing to point out. Like, you definitely can find games of anyone, like Flash, 6-7 SCVs when he goes back, just sitting there doing nothing.
Here's almost another way to put it. It's the most important thing at the very, very start of the game to make the workers mine, because that's how you generate momentum. But then there's a point where, like, you know, you're like in liftoff, like you're at like a cruising altitude, so to speak. And yes, you need to have all these workers for later on in the game, but sometimes it's better to like micro a Reaver or make sure that each of the gateways is making, and then send those probes a little bit later. I wonder if there's a video in Korean online about like how to prioritize things. I know it's different in each matchup and how the game's going, but you know, StarCraft's such an overwhelming game that sometimes people, when they see pros play, they imagine that they're just literally doing everything exactly at once, and that's not always the case, especially when the game really picks up.
Absolutely.
It's really a game of knowing how to prioritize things.
And honestly, I'm sure there's some sort of video content where people have talked about it, but it's something you have to figure out for your own style too. Like, that's actually why SnOw is so good, is because he prioritizes micro more than basically any other Protoss. And that doesn't work for everyone. You can't just micro Reaver all day and win. That's just kind of what SnOw's style is. But yeah, definitely a very fascinating thing. Now, it looks like SnOw's coming in for a push. There are 4 Dragoons down here for Rain, and SnOw finds those immediately.
Okay, he can actually trap these. This is going to be pretty bad here for Rain, and I think he might be able to get this and then get away, but there's also a world where Rain actually comes in from above. Oh, this is interesting.
Counterattack.
Okay, so this is similar to the last game. Remember that Rain was ahead, and so I think SnOw's mixing it up. SnOw takes a fight and then runs back up here and tries to defend.
This
and, two Reavers in a battery is crazy. So this is the next move here for Rain, as he says, okay, you're going to come back and defend, then I'm going to harass. And it seems like SnOw's going to deflect that there. Meanwhile, Rain's going to basically chase down these other Dragoons on the map.
Oh, yeah.
He's trying to isolate this and kill this off. So, again, I think Rain really has such a deep understanding of the matchup. By the way, we're locked into Reaver Tech here. This seems to be, in fact, I didn't even see probes making. This seems to be a big theme now in Korean PvP, is you just sort of stop making probes, and it's just about streamlining Dragoon and Reaver production, probably getting Scarab damage. I imagine you don't get Scarab capacity, but I don't actually know. But yeah, just trying to take fights. Ooh. This is so much of what PvP is. It's kind of like, Muta Micro, but I think maybe a little bit more dynamic.
Yeah.
And kind of goes on throughout the game instead of you get ahead in one of them and it sort of snowballs the whole game to an end in ZVZ. Like it does in ZVZ, excuse me.
Now, I think you basically, on 2 base, when it turns into this, it's like 6 Gate Goon and 1 Robo Reaver. That's what I was kind of mentioning before that you asked about. But, yeah, I just wonder how you decide to go into Zealots, because we already see Zealots coming out here for SnOw.
Well, I think you end up with extra minerals for a little bit. And so you just sort of organically make them. It seems like they're both going to have a 3rd Nexus at about the same time. So much of PvP ends in this phase that we don't... I mean, if you think about all the PvPs you guys have seen us cast, How many have we had where we get past this, where there's Templars and not a lot, right?
Not too many. Not too many. It kind of depends on the map as well. It's just you have such a hard time actually holding this base and then getting that third up. It's kind of funny that SnOw is just building this third. Oh, the Reaver goes down. SnOw's huge attention to his Reaver is really paying off there. But we do have a group of units going towards the third Nexus, and we have a drop from SnOw coming in. 1 Reaver, 2 Zealots. Ooh, a very big Scarab there.
Scarab shot already hit a bunch of those probes. Now it's going to dive into the main. This could be a juicy one. Oh, God. I think it's never worth it to attack that fleeing group of probes when you could get the ones that are already there in the main. SnOw's going to try to push out, but this arc is pretty damn beautiful. It's going to be very tough for Rain to try to topple this. He's going to go for another Reaver, a juggle back, flight to safety here. A dive in from SnOw will kill that last Reaver, and SnOw will have shaken free from this position.
These Reaver plays from SnOw just unbelievable. And even he gets the Nexus, but Rain lost too many units. He's losing too many probes. I think the writing is on the wall right now for Rain in this game.
Yeah, this Reaver drop was massive. It also distracted Rain from where he basically needed to be. And that was focusing, on what's happening at the contain here. So I think this game's almost over.
Yeah.
I think that SnOw is probably going to push in here. Again, like we've been saying throughout this, Rain with better builds, but SnOw with better Reaver control and better Reaver, decision-making as far as what to target, where to move. He's going to move this back just slightly, probably reset the fight. Another great pickup. These Reavers are just not taking damage. This is going to allow him to advance if he wants over here. This little interaction is so funny. It's very PvP. You're both dropping Reavers, and they both have to shoot each other and pick up, and it creates a no man's land for the defender.
And look at this. The third Nexus is going to be picked off here by SnOw. You'll notice that Rain moved his units into his main because he knows that the Reaver counterstab can come. There is a counterattack there from Rain with his Reaver. He checks. He sees the third Nexus. He's going to go into the main. But I don't even know how much damage he has to get done to try to come back in this game. It feels impossible.
Yeah, there's just so many probes here for SnOw, right? So he's going to drop here. He's going to do some targeting. It seems like that's actually a pretty measly connection, to be honest with you. Ooh, good fake out. Ooh. He actually somehow saves that. Rain is so good with Reaver control. But yeah, only getting 3 probes, probably not going to cut it. You wouldn't want to get like 8 or 10 or something like that. SnOw's going to come in now, and God, I got to say, I love that targeting on the Reaver above, picking the one that's further away, knowing that SnOw would try to pull away with the one that's stronger. GG, Rain taps out, and SnOw is now in the lead 2-1.
Or 3-1. 3-1.
Excuse me, 3-1. What am I saying?
Yeah.
3-1.
Now, I do have to adjust my my prediction, because I originally said Rain 4-1. I said I'm not nervous about anything, even after SnOw was up 2-1. I'm going to go ahead and say I'm still not nervous, but I do have to adjust the prediction to 4-3 for Rain. Okay, 4-3. So this is where his comeback starts. Yeah.
This has been a close series.
Yes.
There's been a lot of moments where it could have gone either way. I think that SnOw in that last game sort of won the same way he held the proxy gate. He was focusing on the right stuff and knew when to micro, knew when to set and forget, and basically, at the end, kind of came out on top with a pretty overpowering victory.
Yeah, I think Rain.
The question is,
Oh, go ahead.
No, sorry, Tastosis, good.
I just think Rain needs to avoid these purely Reaver games. Like he's trying to do things like counterattacks and stuff, but as soon as you give SnOw the tools of Speed Shuttle and Reavers, he becomes so deadly. So I'd love to see Rain switch it up. You can see he's thinking deeply there. So he's definitely going over what he could possibly do here at Polestar. I don't think he has something set in stone that he's already decided to do here. I think he's trying to bend around with how this series is going.
Well, that build order has been working. It has been working, right? Like, it's getting that Nexus out early. And he won a game on Eclipse with it, right? I think SnOw, had he not had just superb control, I think it would have been another strategic win here for Rain. But yeah, from here on out, no more mistakes from Rain. He's going to have to combo this all the way into a victory.
Yeah. We will get started
Looks
here
like Snow's-
momentarily. Polestar.
Yeah.
I actually love Polestar so far. I don't know what your feelings are if you've played a lot of Polestar yet, but loving this map. I think it's really, really well made. Super interesting to play on.
Yeah, it's a great map. Another very welcome addition to the whole ASL lineup. I think they've really, the last couple of seasons, been killing it with the maps. We have a couple creative maps, but then a lot of great maps for ladder, a lot of great maps for new players to learn on, but at the same time, they have the depth that let the pros express some brilliant play.
And, if Rain wins this, Dominator, I think, is a map where build order selection is key. So I definitely, I'm feeling confident, man. Here we go.
All right, guys, SnOw in the top right and Rain in the bottom right. Just in case Tastosis isn't as clairvoyant as he thinks, we're going to get the second plug of the show out of the way. And what better time? Because SnOw is pausing the game. I love this, the shot of the Korean.
Yeah.
Are we back on camera, Tastosis?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, while we're here, we always wait for the Patreon plug until the game's actually started, because some people skip through the VOD and we won't hear it. But consider signing up for the Patreon, guys. Patreon.com/ASL English. We need your support. This is the nature of, content creation on the internet now. StarCraft 1 started out on cable with big networks backing it. It's moved underground, but in some ways that's a beautiful thing, because now it's you guys and us directly connecting. We're making something for you. But the only way we can do it is for you guys to support us on that Patreon. So please consider signing up if you have not already.
Yeah, thank you for everyone who has over the years. It's really been a pleasure to be able to commentate. Oh, I'm like, look, I gotta switch the camera to this. We're looking at the backs of their heads right now. Okay, we're back on. But I was like, Tastosis, quick, turn around. We need to see the backs of our heads to get this shot right with the Korean commentators.
Show everybody what's going on back there.
Yeah. But yeah, this series so far, like, I've really enjoyed it. Like, SnOw, he has that advantage, but I feel like Rain is taking the correct risks. I feel like he's playing the best of 7 correctly, even though he's down 3-1. That's, like, an important thing. Like, no one wins all their games, right? Prime Flash wins, like, 70%. And that's, like, the greatest player ever wins, like, 70% of games or something like that, right? It's right around there. And so you got to look at it and say, okay, yeah, even if he were to lose this, I still, like, his decisions as far as strategy go and everything, I look at it and I'm like, I actually feel like Rain is playing really, really well. Like, he's making these choices that are difficult to make. Yeah. He's choosing build orders that are smart and, like, taking the risk of, like, okay, he gets the probe in and then he reacts and, they showed the game again, so I'm like, all right, take us off camera.
Saw that too. I thought we were going to hop back into the game in a second here.
Yeah. But yeah, anyways, I just want to throw that out there that, like, Rain could lose here, and what is that Captain Picard quote? It's like, you can, like, do everything right and still lose or something like that. It's like, in these games, like, you can actually make all the right choices. That's you on your Twitch
stream, Tastosis. That's your famous quote, I believe.
Well, me and Captain Picard have a lot in common, Tastosis. We're both very well-respected philosopher captains.
I played perfectly, and I still lost. Captain Picard. Also, Protoss have no brains. Yeah. Captain Picard, Star Trek.
Well, I mean,
that was a Deep Space Nine episode.
The Protoss are basically Q, so all powerful. Let's go.
I guess the Zerg are the Borg.
Zerg are the
Borg.
Borg.
We're back in game, guys.
Yeah. The Zerg are Borg, and the Protoss are Q, and the poor little Enterprise flying around is Terran. It's like, but all the episodes are about Terran. It's because they're more interesting, guys. I don't know what you want. All right. Here we are on Polestar. Bottom right is Rain. Top right is SnOw. All right. What do you think, Tastosis?
Well, we got that Patreon plug out of the way. So what I'm thinking here with this is, as I've casted this game for so long, it's been my entire adult life, like post-college, and I dropped out of college before I finished it. And I guess I was casting a little bit during college, but it was just for a couple special events. I always kind of looked at all the matchups the same way, as it's about macro and it's about kind of being perfect in all the ways you can play the game, which is sort of true. But I've also realized sometimes it's really about leaning into a few aspects of the game. Like when you look at SnOw, he's so deeply uninterested in even trying DT tech. Right? We're a lot like you look at Rain, he really kind of does everything. Now, SnOw is the best Protoss player probably ever at this point in time. But the fact that SnOw always plays a simple game, getting into Reaver is fascinating to me, right? And he's just really good at that control. Rain has a bigger range, and I think can probably beat more people in PvP than anybody else. But right now, no matter how Rain plays the game, with the exception of the failed 2-gate, SnOw always has his Reavers. He always gets to the phase of the game where the opportunity's there, right?
Yeah.
And so far, he's got a massive lead. I would love to see a comeback here from Rain. I don't know if it's going to happen. But that's going to require, at some point in time, SnOw to really wrestle with Reaver versus Reaver, which it just doesn't seem like he can do versus SnOw.
Yeah, I don't think you're going to out-micro SnOw. He's just got the best Reaver control ever. There's no question that's not up for debate. He's just by far the best at that specific small aspect. Well, it's not that small because it's such a great utility unit. And, that's kind of funny because, for a long time, his PVZ lagged way behind. He actually had a stretch of, 12 years where he never won a professional PVZ, if you guys recall this. In fact, I think his first PVZ map win in a pro match, like an official pro match, might have been against Sulky on Whiteout, if I'm not mistaken. That might have actually been it, but I might be forgetting a different one. But, I think part of that is because he's so specialized into the Reaver. But the thing is, and I think I was talking about this somewhere, whether it was with you in an ASL cast or maybe on just my regular casting channel, but, everyone has a style, and you'll see people raise up, you're like, wow, so-and-so is playing so well right now. But a lot of times what it is they're basically the same level, but their style came into power in the metagame. Because everyone's altering how they play a little bit.
Yeah.
But, for instance, we've seen that in the past. It's like, oh, does aggressive Terran play pay off? Well, Sharp is going to really rise up, because he always plays an aggressive Terran style. Or almost always, right? And everyone can do everything, of course. But because Reavers are so strong in 2 matchups right now, I think that's part of the reason why SnOw is so god tier.
I think you make a really good point. By the way, I might have missed it. Does SnOw have a Robo? Where is it?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
It was 2-gate before Robo. This is a little bit rarer. I think what's happening here with SnOw, he's made a little bit of an alteration in his build. He wants to be able to come in here and break a Protoss that's going to go for a fast Nexus and still get Robo. So
Gotcha.
It's the same idea. He's just getting there in a different way. And I bet he never does this unless it's a match like this versus Rain. So the idea is that if there was a Nexus making, SnOw would just come down here and kill it. Now, Rain has actually gone for the build I said he wouldn't go for, which was, that kind of old school Stork build, like Gateway, Robo, and then Gateway, which is like a catch-all build, but doesn't necessarily put you in a lead.
Well, maybe...
And so he's going to retreat up the ramp.
Do you think maybe he predicted SnOw switching his play up into something like this? Well, hold on. SnOw is actually pushing the ramp right now. This is kind of a big deal. The Zealot coming in here and actually tanking quite a bit and dealing a lot of damage as well, but good micro from Rain. Definitely Rain out-microing SnOw there.
Yeah, beautifully done. It seems like one of the Dragoons got stuck trying to come up the ramp, and so that's driven back. Now, at this point in time, I don't think that SnOw really cares. He just goes, okay, there's no Nexus. His Robo will eventually come. He might try to come down again. He also went for Observer, so he didn't go blindly into this. There's a very small chance that the player will go for Dragoon range and a DT. It's a pretty dirty build.
Yeah.
I think stronger on maps without ramps. So he's going to try to basically preempt that. And remember that, Rain will do more stuff in the matchup than basically anybody in the matchup. Maybe Bisu after Rain, but, he's just playing a safe game. He doesn't really care because he's beaten Rain in a position where he's behind already before. Now, nobody's expanding, and PvP is a funny matchup because you don't have to expand necessarily right away. You could just both power up with Dragoons. In fact, I think for really bad players on ladder, PvP, sometimes you're better off just not expanding and just going Dragoon Reaver and taking fights over and over. And just eventually you'll win the game because you might break them if they're too greedy. And that could be one of these games here. Both sides are teeing up to do a push. Although I do see a probe coming towards Rain's natural now, so maybe Rain will actually expand first.
Well, he does put a pylon down, which can be a good defensive structure there. Dragoon's walking into the kind of like Reaver flight path. The Observer for SnOw being microed pretty heavily. He's a little bit nervous that there might be an Observer coming up behind those Dragoons, so he's being careful not to overextend it. Sneaks down. He's going to look and see, is there a Nexus? What's on the way here? And Rain has a lot of units. He's moving forward. Like this looks like what you're telling people, newbies, that they should do on the ladder right now. Just like lots of Dragoons, lots of Reavers, no Nexuses.
Yeah, I mean, it's a pretty straightforward way to play. Oh, by the way, the probe could be a red herring. Sometimes people will throw a probe out there, so it looks like they might expand, but they're really just going to commit. They'll just keep rallying Dragoons up here. That's a smart way to play. Now, remember, if Rain can try to win this fight... Oh, my God! If Rain can win this fight... Oh, my God, he's going to go for the shuttle!
It's actually pretty good for Rain right there. Like, he actually got a couple good Scarab hits. His Reaver now, is... Ooh, he actually gets the shot on the Reaver, and he gets another Scarab off. Really nice, but SnOw has a lot of Dragoons, so I think Rain has to be very careful here.
Nice micro here from Rain. He's starting to take the Dragoon fight, but another Reaver is going to come down here. And that Scarab could not be more juicy, connecting on all three of those. He's going to try to go for the Observer. Ooh. Yo!
Oh, I can't believe he didn't get it. I can't believe he didn't get it. That has to be a 1 health Observer right there. But you know what? He made a Nexus before this. So he's actually ahead. Like, he's about to have his Nexus done, and SnOw is starting his. Don't forget, the first thing he targeted with that Reaver was the probe behind the minerals, and then it was like Hectic Micro, and SnOw never got it started. So this Nexus is like 60 seconds quicker than SnOw's.
Yeah. I mean, Rain, yeah, you're right. He had the Nexus up. He had the extra minerals. SnOw is going to try to go for some counterplay. Now, SnOw could take this fight. Shuttle with Reaver will beat just a Reaver, if you control it right. I think SnOw did a really good job at sniping the shuttle. But let's see how this goes. Up to 4 gates now on both sides. This is the general tempo of a PvP. Also, remember, you could go for a Reaver drop somewhere, and Rain is very much ready for that. He's got a shuttle out now.
Yeah, luckily
Wait, that's the second Reaver or the first Reaver for SnOw? That's 2, right? Or is it 1?
He lost his first Reaver at the natural, so I think it's 1, but I could be wrong on that.
Okay, I wasn't sure.
Because he did lose 1 Reaver this game, so...
Yeah. No, I mean, I saw that when I was wondering if he had time to get a second one. I think you're right. Sure. I think this is 1 Reaver. So, he's going to come up now.
Oh, it is 2.
Okay, he actually did get a second one. So, you want to try to get rid of this pylon. It's super annoying. This is a great dive here. He gets rid of the shields. He can try to do another one. He actually hits that Reaver.
Yeah, he takes some of the shields off. It wasn't a direct hit, so just a little bit of the splash damage. But still matters quite a bit. Rain continuing to bring these Dragoons up. You know, the pylon is such a great defensive structure here. It takes a lot of hits. Yeah. Takes a lot of hits from Reavers.
I think it might even cost more to shoot the pylon than it does to make the pylon.
Yeah, 5 minerals more to kill it with Scarabs.
Yeah.
It's like one of the funniest.
I think he wants to try to do it. Yeah, one of the funnier interactions. We saw a kind of fake out dive there. But, you know, SnOw's pretty smart. He just targets the Dragoons. He's going to get his 4 Dragoons ready to charge in. This is, you know, control-wise pretty hard to do. So here he goes. He gets that damaged. He's going to run back. He's taking damage on a shuttle. He has to drop. He's going to lose a shuttle.
Oh, my God.
He's got a target now.
Crazy.
He's going to target the Reaver almost perfectly. But unfortunately, the Reaver's still in the game. Wow. And I think Rain has just held this attack. Beautifully done.
Wow. I was actually really nervous as he came out. I'm like, me wrong in a prediction? Never. That was very, very close, but great control there. I love how he went up and sniped that shuttle down, and he actually pulled his Reaver back perfectly. The Reaver lived with like a few health points left when the Scarabs are coming after it, because, you know, if you're running away as a Scarab hits you, you take less damage. So, like, he pulled that off perfectly.
Yeah, that should be emphasized to people watching, because you might not be obvious if you don't really, you're not like diehard StarCraft, but if you're moving away from that Scarab shot, you do not take full damage. So there is a micro tick where Dragoons and even Reavers will run away and not take full hits, because usually 2 full Scarab hits will kill a Reaver.
Yes.
That's why it's a super high-stakes fight when you have 2 Reavers versus a Reaver. Or, you know, or versus 2 Reavers. You know, you could even target both the Reavers, and the Scarabs, if they connect perfectly, will kill both of your enemy Reavers. So that's a, you know, kind of a PvP silver bullet. So Rain's going to come across the map, and I think Rain right now is pretty steadily ahead. And what we were talking about we needed to see here has happened. It looks like Rain has actually managed to win a PvP Reaver dogfight. And he could close this game out because of it.
Yeah, he really executed that push out very, very well. He was very patient with it. But a big part of it was his initial push. Picking off that probe, getting his own Nexus started at the beginning of that, getting his Nexus up a minute earlier, which gives him an edge, which kind of forces SnOw's hand to try to put some pressure on. And now Rain is running around with multiple groups, and this is something that Rain is probably better than anyone at, is this type of army movement. Ooh. When something like that happens, Tastosis, it's the same thing as when I step into like a swimming pool that's too cold, where you're like, ooh, you know?
He's going to try to come first around. I'm totally obsessed with these counterattacks. Like, does this actually just work? They're like both going around each other, and it's becoming a weirder and weirder looking game. And now SnOw's fully on the run, and SnOw's going to counterattack? What am I looking at? No, he's going to come back.
He was hemming and hawing there. He started to move, and then he moved back, and now he's starting to move again. And, like, he's just not being decisive, and that's the problem. If you're not going to be decisive here, Rain's going to win. And look, see his army started to counterattack again? Like, he's screwed. He's dead. You can't play... Like, even if the decision's wrong, you just have to make it. You just have to go.
He's going to kill the shuttle. He's got his own shuttle. He's just got to juggle these Reavers. He's got to dodge those Scarab shots. He does. The 2 Scarabs connect. The Reaver should have been down. I think. I assume it's gone. We didn't have it on camera here. Great control here. He's just got to maximize how much damage these Reavers can do. But SnOw, with the flank, is looking so fearsome. Another Scarab shot is fired, and the Zealot is somehow blocking it. It does connect. But as the dust settles, SnOw is winning this fight.
Yeah, very impressive hold right there. You know, Rain has some more Dragoons that were rallying up. But yeah, that was a pretty big fumble, I still feel like, from SnOw, the way that his army moved around. It's an important thing to note. Like, this is a strategy game, yes, but it's also real time. So it's like, it is better to do the wrong thing well or quickly than it is to do the right thing slowly or poorly. Like, you need to make strong moves, and even if they're wrong, it can pay off, you know? Like, if you're doing it well. And we just saw SnOw kind of bungling that a little bit, but his control's still very good. You can see Rain is pretty high up in supply, though, after that fight.
So, Rain is going to push out, and he's got to do something about this 3rd base, because right now Rain is still locked in on 2 bases. And SnOw's got the growth potential. Does he know about this? I think the Observer actually spotted this. So he's going to run up here. He will actually get this.
By the way, Tastosis, what do you think about the 2nd Robo on this map in particular from SnOw? That's not something I feel like I see very often.
I think it's actually good when you lock in. I think this is like not a real term we really use, so it's going to be the first time everybody's hearing it. But there is sort of a late game of just you both going Reaver, which I think is a 2nd Robo. Does that make sense?
Okay.
Like, this game is now 15 and a half minutes long. So they've been Reaver fighting with Dragoons forever. And eventually you can afford a 2nd Robo. Obviously, you're not going Citadel when you're doing this, but I think it's pretty smart, because really all you need is shuttles and Reavers. And that way you have enough shuttles and Reavers to fight. This is something I do personally. So this shot is insane. So much damage. If there was a way that SnOw could come back, this is it.
Now, I need to mention one thing. Both their mains are mined out, so you actually have a ton more probes than you need right now. So even though he got a good juicy
that's a
hit
good
there,
point.
the saturation is still going to be at 100% of the natural. Like, you shouldn't send
Right.
every probe there. I think it's actually smart to leave a few off in case a good scarab hit comes in. You're like, yeah, I don't know. I'm still mining one base optimally
Marty,
at least.
I was just thinking of that. I wonder if there's a world where maybe you want to have like 12 probes just kind of like idling in your main.
100%.
Because like you're going to get the 2 scarabs are going to kill out like 80% of everything you have.
Yeah.
It's crazy. A push comes out across the map. Remember, they're both going to mine out of their naturals really fast. Like it's warp speed here for mining out.
Rain, though, has so many units, Tasteless. Look at how many Dragoons he has.
Yeah, it's absurd.
So
there is no
crazy.
matchup where a natural, by the way, mines out faster than PvP when you're both going Reavers like this.
That's true.
There's no game where you have this many workers on just a base for this long, and potentially until you mine out, because there's a high chance you're just both losing bases for a long time. Rain has bad Reaver positioning. He's got to make this work. Both those Reavers are very badly injured. He's going to target these Reavers, and he actually kills in a snipe. Oh, both?
Domination. Domination. GG.
GG. Beautiful.
Rain,
Beautiful.
Yep, getting that comeback going. Taking SnOw down here in a Reaver versus Reaver dogfight. Very well done. I definitely don't think he out-microed SnOw, but he definitely out-strategized him a bit.
Yeah, well, he had a good push, man.
Yep.
You know, he got that Nexus up. You know, I think SnOw was in a weird spot where he realized, I can't really expand here, so I have to just basically stay back and be pushed. Even though like I don't have a base, he's still going to be pushed, because if he doesn't try to hold that spot, Rain's going to contain him. So in that moment, Rain got his base up. I think he played a smart game. And by the way, it was a game where there were almost no drops that killed probes, unlike a lot of other PvPs. It really was just Reaver trades, Dragoon trades. I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, that was actually a very fun game, especially for just Dragoon Reaver versus Dragoon Reaver. It's interesting. I feel like a few years ago when we had PvPs, we saw a little bit more of the Templar attack, but definitely not seeing that here tonight. I believe we're going to go to a quick little commercial break here and then come back and finish this series off. So we will be right back.
이 에너지 드링크는 이것을 올리지 않아. 단백질이 들어있거든. 청량하게 마시는 단백질 에너지 드링크. 에너지가 담백해. 하식스 5%.
commitment, just a little bit of trying, and we can be among the stars. Yeah, just come up there with me, pull me in a little closer, baby, watch us climb higher. You are moving through my body and swimming through my blood. I never wanted anything more. I never wanted anything more than your love. Just a little bit more. Just a little bit more. I never wanted anything more. I never wanted anything more than your love. Open up to me and blast off, baby, blast off. It's our time, baby, it's our time, baby, it's our time. I don't need a dress up to move my body. No, I don't care, we're leaving dancing. Denim, who cares if I mess up? Life is a party. Say when and where we're leaving dancing. Denim, I feel the goodness coming over. Head to toe control, yeah, baby, it's gone. The sun is up, it's getting closer. Every day I'm older, but feeling so young. As I grow, I feel it in my bones, and now I know. Oh, 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 I know. I don't need a dress up to move my body. No, I don't care, we're leaving dancing. Denim, who cares if I mess up? Life is a party. Say when and where we're leaving dancing. Denim, I wanna feel the heaven, no matter what I'm wearing. Moving 24/7, music blaring. Did I mention I don't need a dress up to move my body? No, I don't care, we're leaving dancing. Denim, I'll keep it going, keep the night life. Even if my jeans tight, I'm ready to go. I'm on a high, no matter what they.
Welcome back, everybody. We are now going into either the last or the second to last game. Now, we've been blessed in this ASL with 1-4-3. Could we be lucky enough to have a second one? It's extremely rare in a best of 7 to actually get to the 7th game. Unlike a best of 5, which is much more common to have a 3-2, 4-3 pretty rare, but we could absolutely do it here with this match tonight.
Yeah, I think it's fairly likely. Here's what I think, Tastosis. We're going to Dominator. You have the reverse ramp to the low ground main base, which makes it so that some rock, paper, scissory can happen. SnOw likes safety play with Observer Reaver. I think that Rain here just gambles and goes 3-gate Goon, and that's it. Says, okay, SnOw,
Wow,
if you are
well, you
man
know-
enough to go DT, you win this, and you go to the round of 4. I don't think you are. Let's go 3-gate Goon and just close this game 6 out and go to game 7.
Hey, man. Okay, well, never mind. You know what? We're going to go into this game. I'll talk about that when we get in there, guys. This is game 6, PvP of the decade here tonight. Rain versus SnOw. Let's see if we can go to game 7 or if Rain is going to win and move on to that 3rd spot in the final 4. Okay. It's SnOw in the bottom left and Rain in the top left. So we've cast a decent amount of Rain PvPs when you were in Korea and even after you left Tastosis. Rain on maps with low grounds historically, I don't have like the data in front of me, but I have so many memories of him going DT first.
Okay.
On maps like this.
Okay.
He seems to want to basically force a... Oh.
Well, that
Who
throws a wrench into the
cares?
works, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Is this
A
center
couple of
2-gate?
wrenches.
It has to be, right?
Can
Center
you build
2K?
in the center of this map? Yeah, I guess you can.
Yeah, you can, absolutely. You kidding
Yeah.
me? I put turrets in there every game, Tasteless. It's a great location to build.
Yeah, I guess you can center 2-gate. So SnOw, who, by the way, doesn't really do this. You know, like, if you think of Rain, Mini, Bisu, they've actually all done center gate a lot, or proxy gate, or the 2/3 build, or whatever we call it. It's actually a really shitty name for a build, 2/3 build. We could probably name it something better, but you know, SnOw really doesn't do this that often, and so this is a pretty good curveball in the series to throw in there.
Yeah, I like him mixing it up. I think that this is a great idea. You're trying to close out the series. The only problem I really see with this is I don't see this working that often at this level. Like, it works sometimes for sure, but not that often. By the way, you'll notice that he left the probe there for a little bit. It's because he wants his probe to scout at a certain time. He wants it to look like a natural scout and not a fast scout. And you can measure that as a pro. You know when the worker is supposed to come.
Exactly. So this is all choreographed on SnOw's end, so that if you saw this probe moving across the map, it's just nothing surprising. Looks like business as usual. So proxy center gate, this is, you know, so common. It's like up there with the 4-pool, or the 9-pool Speedling Rush, or the 2 Factory from Terran versus Protoss. Like, it's one of these, like, it's an aggro build. This one has all in elements because it's centered in the middle of the map, which gets the Zealots there in half the time. It is much more holdable than, like, what Rain tried to do to SnOw, just to be clear. Still tough. Actually, I guess on this map, it's maybe about the same amount just because of the shape of this map. So immediately we get the attempted pylon block and the shield battery counter block.
And a Zealot going into those mineral lines.
Does this.
Yeah, you'll notice some good micro
smart
so far from SnOw. He's just going in. He's getting a few hits here and there. He's trying to not really lose health.
Yeah, he's bruising each of the probes. He does. Oh my God, does this block?
Oh.
Okay, so a second Zealot comes out. Oh
yeah,
my God, he does that perfectly.
Yeah, the Dragoon popped out really nicely on the other side there. So don't know if that was a mistake from SnOw, or maybe Rain was blocking it just right with his units. But right now the Dragoon being microed on one side, his probes have been pulled. And that's 3 Zealots, or 4 Zealots in this base with 2 shield batteries.
Yeah, this is pretty nasty. He can also lock the Dragoon in as it comes in. He's going to try to come in here to glitch out the next one. Is there going to be a dive?
Oh.
Okay, he does a double trap. Beautifully done by SnOw. He's so down and dirty.
Oh, he's got this, doesn't he?
I think this is going to be fatal.
Yeah.
I don't think Rain can recover. You just have so many batteries. There's, like, when you get to 5 Zealots, it's pretty crazy what you can do. He's going to hit the probes. There's just a Dragoon. The Dragoon, with Dragoon shots alone, it's going to take forever to kill a Zealot. And if you use the battery effectively at all, you're probably not going to lose any Zealots in the process either. It's now down to 4.
Oh, he's
even with perfect micro.
Yeah.
Yeah,
he's not getting the shots
he
needs. He's not getting the shots he needs. He's, like, not even always being able to fire. SnOw's micro here just kind of outdoing Rain a little bit. His execution of this build definitely better than what we saw from Rain on Metropolis. And
yeah,
I'm going to adjust.
This is probably over.
I have to adjust my prediction. I think it's going to be a 4-2 to SnOw.
Well, I think you might be right.
I might be right there.
I like that calculation.
Yeah.
Well, there are 2 Dragoons out here. There is another battery, but the real issue is that there's not enough probes.
But there is no tech for SnOw. Like, if he were to clear these 2 Zealots, like, I know he has such low probe count, but he's got, like, the Dragoons, like, just have so much more value, you know? Like, once you get to the right amount.
Yeah, I mean, well, he's going to keep trying to fight, and I think he probably should. He gets another Zealot. It's really important that you have 1 Zealot with the mix when you're fighting their Zealots, because your Zealot is more tanky than the Dragoons in a way, and it does a little bit of extra damage.
Yeah.
And it can always be microed away when it loses shield, so there's this really complex dance that's always happening. And Rain's starting to get back in there. He's going to take the battery out. That may even... It actually supply blocks SnOw, funnily enough.
Oh, wow. Well,
Yeah.
he does have some more Zealots coming up right now, and he's actually started a gas in his main base, and I think he started a Cybernetics core, so definitely still some good things going on for SnOw, but it seems like Rain may be able to hold this off still.
Yeah, you know, this position, like the way the minerals are shaped and where the gateway's at, it's actually a pretty tough spot to rush because there's a lot of areas where you can basically treat it almost like it's a ramp. I think he might be making a forge or he might be going for batteries here.
I like the idea. Oh, it is a forge.
Yeah.
You're right. It was a forge, not a cybernetics core. So he's going to try to make cannons up here. And I think Rain just spotted
this actually may backfire.
Yeah, I'm going to go ahead and say I was
oh my God.
I was joking when I said I was switching my prediction. I still think Rain is going to win this 4-3. But yeah, Rain breaks out. I think from here you should be able to win. He's going to have to cannon his low ground. I mean, that's a disaster.
No, it's really bad. Okay, so this is so funny. By the way, we're kind of seeing why we don't see 2-gate win in pro matches. As strong as it feels, probably for everybody who's ever played against it online. When you're this good, you sort of barely hold.
Yeah.
And, I mean, you know, here's the thing. A cannon on the low ground, like, what is this even going to do? Like, you could run a Dragoon and just right above this, just run right around it. You know what I mean?
Yep. He's trying to block with probes and get that cannon in. And maybe it works. Like, there's the cannon.
Yeah. I think Rain could have done a little bit better here with that.
Yeah, for
He's
sure.
actually going to get an execute on this Dragoon over here.
Yeah.
That's just unreal to me. So SnOw's going to kamikaze into the base and try to kill as many workers as possible. When you have... Oh, he's going to try to trap the Dragoon. This is so funny. He tries, then he stops. He says, I don't know, because I guess he's worried there could be a Zealot popping out, which would just make him lose the game. He's going to try to kill as many probes as possible. 2 Zealots is very scary, because 3 Zealot hits will kill a probe. So you really got to be careful.
By the way, I just want to point out...
A 3rd Zealot's going to come down?
It's wild that your units have to stop attacking to get healed by the shield battery.
Oh, it's insane.
It's so crazy.
It's really... when you're, like, actually trying to hold a rush, it's so frustrating, man.
Yeah.
So he's going to try to pop as many probes and tech behind this. One of the key factors is that... Oh, my God.
Huge mistake. Huge error there, losing that Trigoon. He really needed that Trigoon.
Yeah, well, he has 3 batteries, right? It's unacceptable to lose anything.
Yeah.
I mean, I think Rain can win this from here.
Yeah, I think so.
I'm curious how SnOw techs. I'm always fascinated in games that are this weird looking, like how a pro gamer plays it from here, like SnOw. Like, does he just go for like double robo or something weird?
Yeah, that's a good question. I honestly have no idea what you're supposed to do from here.
Yeah, I have no idea.
I feel like whatever I would choose would just get countered by my opponent. I'd be like, I don't know what's going on. This is so crazy. Like, how did we get here?
Well, I mean, you know, the reality is that SnOw's rush has failed. Now, whenever a part of the game fails, there is a correct decision from that point, even if it's very unlikely to win. There's sort of, you know, StarCraft's not exactly perfectly clean like chess, where it's like, oh, if we could see all the moves, we'd sort of handle it, because there's the messiness of Micro, the chaos that Micro creates. So it looks like he's just going for Dragoon range. And, I also have to imagine that SnOw has more probes, right? Although I think Rain's done a phenomenal job of remaking probes. This is where I wish we did have a tool that we could open up in the dashboard and look at this and actually know.
Yeah.
Because it's really hard for us to tell. SnOw has to sacrifice a lot of probes to do the center gate rush, but Rain is making probes the whole time. And it seems like SnOw maybe has a little bit more, but he's going to lose these gateways here in the middle of the map. But hold up, 2 Zealots, 4 Dragoons can drive this back. And this means we're going to have possible ramp domination. Well, oh man, this is sick.
Yeah.
So it's 3-gate versus 3-gate. This is one of the weirdest things that can happen in PvP. I know this is a game where we're in post-center gate chaos, but it's the same story. When you're both going 3-gate, the matchup becomes very weird. Like, even if they hadn't proxy gate each other and just went 3-gate, because you have no idea what's going on. You're just like arms racing into Dragoons with no intel.
By the way, we just saw Rain get supply blocked and he killed one of his own probes. He's also way down on probes, and SnOw's counterattack here is deadly. I think SnOw is just going to clean this game up from here, Tasteless. It seems like he's just kind of outdone Rain here.
It seems like he's just going to have too much. It's pretty losing if they get a control of your ramp, which it might not even matter. SnOw might just be able to run into the base and just start killing stuff again. But if he can control the ramp, especially when you don't have a robo, it's just a really easy, straightforward loss.
Well, Rain is kind of forcing him out of the controlling position, because if these goons run down and kill the pylon, suddenly he has 1 gate production, which won't be able to hold up. So Rain is doing a good job moving his units around and making this difficult for SnOw to finish him. What a wild back and forth game. By the way, this series has been great. This series has been.
It's been really good.
It's been a great series. Like, it definitely feels like SnOw has overall outplayed Rain in this series, but like, these games are close. Like, look at this insane game. I keep going back and forth on who I think is going to win. I'm really unsure as to what's going on, Tasteless. I'm just a very confused little Terran guy here.
So, I mean, he is going to kill the pylon at the ramp. Sorry, the center of the map, which means no Dragoons. So SnOw really needs to try to hold this. It's going to be an onslaught. Wow, he goes forward from there. Interesting. I guess he's afraid of possible DTs behind this.
I think so.
Or maybe he wants to just try to, cannon expand, just in case the only thing that would stop this contain would be DTs, I guess. But SnOw's committed to Reaver. Now, can he just run down the ramp? That might be too risky.
Yeah, I think it's too much to go down the ramp. It's like there's so many goons. Plus, don't forget, cannons are actually beastly. Like, they do a lot of damage.
Yeah, they're scary.
You don't really
They'll die fast, but if they get a couple extra shots off, you just lose the fight.
Yeah, they shoot fast and everything, too. So, more gates coming up. Reaver Tech. Unfortunately for Rain, he's chosen the wrong path with that Forge. Against Reaver Tech, it's like the Forge isn't going to do anything. Okay, he decides he's going to try to finish him, I think, because of the Robo. And I don't think this works. I don't think so. Look at that micro, too.
I think that Rain could have won this. Look at the shuttle picking this up. This is so sick, dude.
So sick.
Oh, God, he's such
the micro of SnOw is unbelievable.
Gamer.
He's such a video gamer.
He has all the video games, dude.
You should see,
all right.
dude, when he's picking
all the video
those
games,
up, man.
all the consoles, all the controllers.
You guys should see how quick he has to spin the control stick on his PlayStation 2 controller to get that to happen. Like, that's amazing.
I gotta say, man, this was a fun series. I think Rain could have won that. It's actually kind of sad to see the way he took it.
Yeah.
I think the Forge play was actually a huge mistake.
Yep.
I didn't see how much gas was in the bank back there, but I think the Robo play was the right move.
Yeah.
Especially when you kill the center gate. I mean, we just know SnOw's extremely unlikely to go GT. He could have controlled the ramp, gotten the base up, and probably had enough Dragoons to never let him out with Reavers and never let him out anywhere else on the map. I think it's a real throw by Rain. It's really unfortunate, but I'm super impressed Rain held the rush. And this once again just reaffirms SnOw as the best Protoss in the whole world right now.
Well deserved. Well deserved. He's going to go to that round of 4, which means we're going to have 2 Protoss in there and 1 Terran, maybe a Terran or Zerg, which we will end up seeing in our next match. But yeah, greatly done from SnOw. He's got to feel good about that, since Rain has definitely dominated him somewhat in the past in the matchup. SnOw really coming into his own here. And I'm excited, because I think he has real potential if he ends up playing Sulky. And if Sulky somehow loses, I think SnOw wins the ASL, very likely.
Yeah, it's going to be tough. SnOw, it looks like they're trying to highlight that SnOw probably had more workers, which I don't know if that mattered here, honestly. I think he should have seen the Robo and just stayed up his ramp. This was quite the throw, I think.
You don't think that he looked at this and said, well, he only had 15 workers, so he wasn't even really making workers regularly. I think he looked at it and said, I'm going to die as soon as he has Reaver, so let's go.
I don't know, man. Do you know how hard it is to get up a ramp when you're contained if you stay back?
Yeah.
I don't know. I think when he saw the Robo, he should have just gone right back up. But, I mean, I don't know. Maybe there's some kind of principle that I don't really understand here. This micro is beautiful, by the way. I think sometimes people forget that, you could just juggle Dragoons instead of Reavers. That's, completely acceptable. But what a great series. This was a lot of fun. Guys, we're going to go to an interview and see how SnOw's feeling, and then we'll be wrapping up the show.
And that does it for the third quarterfinals match of ASL Season 19. On this Children's Day we have today, truly a stupendous match took place just as was expected, and the victor moving on to the round of 4 is SnOw. Let's have a word with him. Congratulations. Thank you. SnOw, you move on to the round of 4, once again securing a seed with this 4-2 victory. It was a mirror matchup. The opponent was none other than Rain. And so you expected that this would be a tough match. But you punched through those difficulties and have now become seeded for the 3rd season in a row. Let's hear how you're feeling. This is really good. In fact, the last set was a game I should have lost. I considered typing GG, but I played a little more, and I'm glad I did, seeing that I won. To be honest, in the first 5 sets, you weren't really going for especially strategically different builds. Was it because you felt so confident in your Shuttle Reaver micro, or were you initially prepared to instead respond to whatever strategic decision your opponent would go for? You didn't show any special strategy until the 6th set. How did you prepare for this? I have a degree of confidence in my skills, so I decided to play the way I normally play. In the first set, his probe left as soon as it showed up, so I realized, oh, he's planning something. If I can block him here, I will win. But it rather ended up not being a good thing. You showed great defense here today, but you were also very stable mentally, psychologically, which was apparent in the 3rd set. Rain went for a forward 2-gate. You held it in a very calm and collected manner. Were you not flustered or concerned at all? His probe showed up very early, which was very puzzling. I normally don't play a Zealot there, but I made one this time. I think I had a bit of luck on my side as well. Then a pylon got put down and I was all flustered, but I kept going, and everything just worked. Luck is very important in-game, and I seem to have got lucky in the 3rd set. And in the last set, you were the one trying to show off with a double 9-gate strategy. Rain built 3 shield batteries and held, which made many people expect this would be a full set series, but you did not type GG. You kept getting probes with Zealots and managed to take the game. What did it feel like at that point? I genuinely considered tapping out, but every single set is a precious opportunity. I thought, let's just keep trying to press with Zealots, and it worked. So it was a worthwhile shot. At that point, I thought I've won. I let my guard down, many of my Dragoons died, and I nearly lost, but I think luckily the advantage I had made my opponent play in a hurry, and I ended up winning. Rain kept playing on 3 gates, while you went up to a Robo off of 1 gate. It was unsure if you could hold on until the Reaver was out, but you defended with your Shuttle micro. I actually didn't think he would enter my base. I was like, oh no, what do I do? What do I do? But the moment he came in, my shuttle popped out, and there was nothing I could do but micro with a shuttle. The only unit I could control at that point was the shuttle. Where does your true strength lie? In the Reaver or in the shuttle? That will be a point of debate. What do you think was the one unit that let you achieve victory today? The shuttle from the 6th set, I think. Oh, I see. Well, with the form you've shown today, many fans will be seeing this as another opportunity opening itself up for you. But your fans have also expressed resentment at the fact that whenever you make the round of 4, you end up on the same side of the bracket as Sulky. This is something your fans are not happy with. Your semi-finals opponent will be decided through tomorrow's match between Rush and Sulky. I want to hear what your take on this is. I am being completely sincere in saying that I hope for Seolki to advance, because while I have lost to him, even if I end up losing for the third time, I just have to play him at this point. I want to prepare well and take him down this time. I genuinely hope Seolki advances. You know, as this ASL Season 19 is unfolding, the one player who has been holding his composure in games the most has to be you, the way I see it. I wonder if this composure, this self-control is testament to the confidence you have? What do you think? I used to have a fiery temper, but now that I'm a dad to 2 kids, my personality has changed. I'm not as quick to anger anymore. I have grown as a person, mentally. It's good that it's also helping me in-game. It sounds almost as if you've been liberated from something that used to hold you down. I'm very excited to see what potential you awaken in the round of 4. I'm sure many colleagues will have helped you as you delivered this beautiful match today. Yes, Stork, Motive, Ruin, and S-Rich, with whom I practice as many as 30 games per day. Thank you guys so much. The boss of our team and our students who came down here today, thank you so much. And I was going to play this tournament, so my wife, for a whole 3 days. Oh, SnOw is getting emotional, thinking of his family. I'm sure your wife must have been a great deal of help all this time, standing by your side as well. And today is Children's Day as well. SnOw seems very moved thinking about his family. I had a whole 3 days off without my kids. It felt nice then. But now I just feel so sorry. It's thanks to my wife I advanced. Right. And you can repay your family for being so committed and understanding with this good result. This victory today will be very meaningful both to you and to your family. SnOw, I am tearing up myself seeing how moved you are. I'm sure the fans are also feeling the same. Please address your fans who cheered for you. I'm very thankful to my fans. You know, I'm not one to tear up easily. Recently, even Light, even he has been bawling his eyes out. Having kids changes a man. Anyway, big thanks to my wife for those 3 days. Once again, congratulations on making the round of 4. Can't wait to see you play in the semi-finals. Congratulations. And that does it for our interview with SnOw, who just played a great match to advance to the round of 4.
What an amazing series, Tastosis.
It was a great one. That was a lot of fun. What a good, solid mirror matchup PvP can be when 2 guys really know what they're doing.
We don't get a lot of PvPs, man, but that was a really special one. Super excited to see SnOw advancing. And I guess that leaves us with our final match here in the round of 8, Tastosis.
Yes, indeed. It's going to be an awesome match as well. Seolki, of course, the 3-time defending champion, looking for a 4th in a row, something not even Flash has done. You know, it's going to be a hard one for Rush, but Rush has been kind of our most stable Terran that's in the round of 4 very, very often. No matter who comes up, it's going to be an amazing match against SnOw. Like, SnOw is just...
It's going to be a really special one.
Yeah, I can't wait. I can't wait for the round of 4, whatever it might be.
Yeah, I welcome, you know, any of those possible round of 4s. I think it's going to be really tough for Rush. I mean, Seolki really does seem to be completely untouchable. What an amazing round of 4 so far. We've got Best, Light, and SnOw. I'm happy with any of these 3 becoming a champion. And, of course, as we were kind of prefacing, Seolki and Rush is coming up. That's going to be out tomorrow, guys. Yeah, man. Super excited to see if Rush can hold his own versus Seolki. Seolki really is getting to a kind of terrifying level of ability where he doesn't seem to have a weakness. He seems to be very capable of dirty cheeses, aggro play, timing attacks, macro stuff. His mid-game looks untouchable in TVZ. He seems to have no weakness. He's the master at the balancing act of that whole matchup.
He really
Great
is.
at hiding expos. Great. I mean, he'll even do weird stuff like go Guardians in this matchup and make it work. I mean, he really seems to be the full picture of everything that is so scary about ZVT.
He literally looks unbeatable. I don't know what you're supposed to do to beat him. I don't give any Terran winning chances against him. That's a fact. So we'll see how that goes. I think Rush is going to come in very well prepared. So looking forward to it at least.
Guys, thank you so much for joining us. Please consider signing up for our Patreon at patreon.com/ASL English. We love you, and we'll see you in the next video. Bye-bye.